News screens display alarming global headlines about monsters and catastrophic events, sparking fear and confusion. Outside the school entrance, students gather as someone complains that the trending news is just exaggerated hype, comparing it to past zombie rumors. The crowd shifts their attention to the appearance of the popular girl, Shui Kingzi. Students gossip about her breakup with her boyfriend. One student claims the girl was just settling for him, as she got accepted into a top university while he failed to even enter an ordinary college. They agree their futures were never compatible. Another student tries to remember the boyfriend's name, saying it might have been Fang Yi. Suddenly, Fang Yi appears in front of Shui Kingzi. Shui Kingzi calmly states that she has made up her mind and believes their relationship is no longer realistic. She explains that high school love often ends with a moment of realization, suggesting they were never truly right for each other. She adds that a lasting relationship needs equal standing and courage. She firmly says they should break up and adds that even if he tried everything, it wouldn't change her decision. Fang Yi stays silent with a blank expression, while the crowd watches. Internally, Shui Kingzi wonders if he's so stunned that he can't respond. The crowd mocks Fang Yi silently, assuming he'll beg her to stay since she's the school flower. One student even calls him a fool dreaming beyond his league. Fang Yi casually responds with "all right" and brushes it off. Shui Kingzi is caught off guard and stares in disbelief. Fang Yi says he'll leave if there's nothing more to say. As he walks away, she calls out for him to wait, while wondering if his cold reaction is genuine or just an act. He looks back at her and calmly asks if she has anything else to say. She angrily warns him that no matter what he thinks or does, she will never return to him. He coldly tells her not to overestimate her importance, referring to her as just the school flower. Shui Kingzi stands speechless as Fang Yi brushes her off, saying he's too busy to continue the conversation. As he walks away, a few students express disbelief that the breakup happened so quickly and easily. Fang Yi reflects to himself that Shui Kingzi and the others have no idea about the disasters coming. He's no longer the person they once knew, he's someone who has returned from the future to this timeline. He knows that in the face of what's coming, society's standards, money, degrees, and reputation will become meaningless. To him now, Shui Kingzi is just a figure from a past life that no longer holds any value. He reflects that petty gossip no longer matters to him, what lies ahead is far more important. In his mind, the world and its values will soon be overturned. He knows that the real threat isn't personal relationships, but the crisis that will soon endanger all of humanity. The story flashes back to the previous night. Strange visions and shattered images surround Fang Yi as he receives a mysterious cosmic message. A countdown is revealed: 361 days until the beginning of the spiritual energy revival, which will bring unprecedented and unpredictable changes to the world. The message declares that society's standards will be overturned, and a new era of spiritual practitioners will rise, where power will become the only measure of worth. Fang Yi, startled, reaches out as the vision unfolds. He, floating in a glowing cosmic space, faces a light and asks who it is. Suddenly, a surge of light and energy flashes toward him, catching him off guard. The screen revealing that a system from the end of the universe has activated. It uses a supreme algorithm to generate spiritual techniques based on the spiritual beings the user touches. The screen states that Fang Yi currently possesses 0 techniques as he reaches toward the interface, absorbing the gravity of this new power. Fang Yi silently reaches toward the glowing system panel, activating it with curiosity. Suddenly, a massive beast with glowing red eyes lunges toward him, jaws wide open in a violent surge of energy. The creature appears to emerge from the system itself, surrounded by lightning and chaos as Fang Yi floats nearby in shock. His eyes widen as he realizes the danger in front of him. Fang Yi sees the fate he once shared with countless ordinary humans. Beads of sweat roll down his face as he processes the memory. He questions if that was truly him in his past life. He recalls how, in that previous life, he was just a powerless person swept up by the disaster, fighting only to survive. Fang Yi recalls the darkness of his past as lightning strikes and mutated beasts roam the city. He remembers watching his homeland collapse, powerless to stop the destruction. His past self died in despair, consumed by a burning desire for revenge at the moment of death. In that final moment, the fire in his eyes burned with hatred, reflecting the pain that still lingered within him. He believes the system chose him because of his strong desire for revenge, giving him the chance to return 1 year before the spiritual energy revival. He acknowledges that almost no one senses the coming danger, but he's now fully aware of what's approaching. He reaches toward the glowing core, determined. He resolves to use this year to turn every spiritual event into an advantage, as light bursts around him and the transformation begins. The system initiates a new assessment process, scanning Fang Yi as energy begins to surge within him. His eyes glow with golden light. The system declares that the user is now bound to it and a new path has opened. Everything in the world can now be used to forge spiritual techniques, making him a powerful practitioner meant to save humanity. Meanwhile, in the outside world, officials announce that humanity is facing an unprecedented crisis and must abandon past knowledge to adapt to the unknown challenges ahead. Fang Yi confirms that this moment marks the beginning. With others nearby, he notes how the authorities haven't reassured the public, only advising people to remain cautious and alert. A phone displays warning alerts with strange images. Fang Yi reflects that such open warnings are unusual. In the past, news like this would have been censored immediately. A quiet auditorium is shown as he explains that the Xia country uses calm, indirect methods to mentally prepare people for disaster without spreading panic. Fang Yi admits it's a tiring and slow approach, but far better than neighboring countries that respond with chaos, violence, or looting when disasters strike. Fang Yi remembers the system's rule: everything strange can become a source of power. So, he knows he must rush to the scene whenever something unusual happens. His eyes narrow as he checks his phone. A headline warns of the highest UV levels in a century at Qingcheng University, along with a heat wave alert for new students, disguised as a casual sun protection notice. Some students nearby dismiss it as media hype, joking that the university probably paid to trend, unaware of the deadly seriousness behind the warning. He looks up at the cloudy sky, noticing how different it seems from the weather warning reports just nearby. He checks his phone and sees the UV index at 0, questioning how Qingcheng University, only 15 minutes away, could be experiencing extreme UV levels. He reads a school announcement stating that registration will proceed as normal despite the intense heat, while online comments joke about the warning being fake or photoshopped. While the public dismisses it as a hoax, Fang Yi smiles subtly, knowing deep down that dangerous is beginning, and he's the only one who understands it. Fang Yi smiles confidently as he senses that his first real opportunity has finally come. The sun blazes unnaturally over Qingcheng University's north gate. He arrives calmly and realizing something is not right with the environment. As students flee from the unbearable heat, Fang Yi calmly observes the glowing particles floating around the campus gate and wonders what they are. He crouches down and reaches toward one of the flickering lights. As his finger touches the glowing orb, it pulses brightly with a surge of energy. A flash of light erupts, and Fang Yi is taken aback by the sudden reaction. The system detects a severe solar-type energy disturbance and immediately initiates the solar attribute data template. He screams in pain as the overwhelming energy surges through his body. A massive burst of radiant light explodes outward, illuminating the entire area with intense solar energy. Onlookers react in shock. Some question if they're hallucinating. Others jokingly call it a Super Saiyan moment, while one compares it to a heavenly being descending to Earth. Fang Yi screams in agony as the solar energy floods through his body. He wonders if the formation is complete, feeling like he's about to die under the strain. Suddenly, the system confirms the formation is complete, and he has obtained the golden sun breathing technique. His transformation is complete. His hair turns white, his eyes glow gold, and his body radiates with powerful solar lightning. At Qingcheng University, the new student welcome day begins under a bright. A crowd forms around the registration area as students line up. One student offers to help a Shui Qingzi carry her luggage. As she draws attention, multiple boys rush over, offering guidance and club flyers, hoping to impress her. Calm, she politely declines with a firm, "Thanks, but no need." A group of students chat excitedly, happy to be in the same city. Shui Qingzi stands beside them, visibly uninterested, thinking they're completely love-struck. Suddenly, a massive explosion of light appears in the distance, drawing everyone's attention and stunning Shui Qingzi. A warning blares through the loudspeakers, advising students to stay away from the north gate due to an incident. With a serious expression, she realizes strange things have been happening everywhere and decides she must investigate it herself. At Qingcheng University's North Gate, amidst the swirling smoke and flames, Fang Yi's appears. A system panel activates, explaining that by staring into the scorching sun and breathing in the burning heat, Fang Yi can perform golden sun breathing to strengthen his body. Without prior learning, a new skill is unlocked, and writing points are gained as golden energy continues to surge around his hands. Fang Yi looks at the system panel, which confirms that a new skill has been unlocked and 59 writing points have been gained. He questions what writing points are. After a brief pause, he decides it doesn't matter, thinking it's obviously something useful, and he'll figure out how to use it later. The sun shines brightly overhead as Fang Yi looks up. Nearby students begin to react to the strange phenomenon. One comments that the sky suddenly went dark, while another says they felt a chill in the air. Someone else calls out that a crowd is forming at the North Gate, and Shui Qingzi is seen among them. A large group of people gathers at the campus entrance. The president of Qingcheng University arrives with security and questions why so many people are present despite a warning message being sent out. He orders everyone to check in immediately, warning that those who don't will lose points. The hooded officer commands the team to re-establish the perimeter and fully seal off the North Gate area. The president acknowledges the order with a nod. A system notification appears, confirming that the contaminated zone level at Qingcheng University's North Gate has been purified. Fang Yi reads another message explaining that a contaminated zone is a government-designated area in Xia country where spirit return energy appears. He's surprised to learn it's officially recognized and realizes he's not the only one affected. A broadcast alerts everyone that all unrelated individuals must evacuate the sealed North Gate area immediately, prompting Fang Yi to stay cautious. As military personnel take control, someone questions if they are from the army, while others in the crowd express confusion about the situation. Fang Yi realizes the disturbance has become too large and their presence has attracted too much attention. Without hesitation, he launches himself into the sky, deciding it's time to leave the area. The hooded officer steps through the smoke. He kneels and touches the surface, picking up a small crystal fragment. He brings it to his eyes and inspects it carefully. He examines the crystal and states that the event was no accident, suggesting someone may have already begun resonating with spirit energy. As security orders the crowd to clear out, the officer continues observing the area while other staff try to assist with dispersal. Shui Qingzi overhears the mention of spirit energy and questions whether this disaster was truly unnatural, wondering if such terrifying events could really be caused by humans. Watching Fang Yi from a distance, Shui Qingzi recalls the shadow earlier and wonders if it was actually him. She doubts her earlier suspicion, telling herself not to be naive. She thinks there's no way Fang Yi, with his mediocre performance, could have entered Qingcheng University. In Fang Yi's house as the sun sets, lying on his bed, Fang Yi struggles with intense heat radiating from his body and wonders why it won't fade. Despite taking cold showers and using air conditioning, nothing helps. He is drenched in sweat and realizes that if this continues, he won't be able to sleep tonight. While wiping sweat from his face, Fang Yi worries that the chaos earlier might have exposed him. He quickly checks his phone and finds a top trending update from the Spirit Energy Practitioners Association about a new ranking system. Recognizing the name, he recalls the group as an obscure online community that occasionally posted spiritual training content, once thought to be pure fantasy. A flash of the cloaked figure from earlier comes to mind, and Fang Yi begins to suspect that the people he encountered at Qingcheng University may have been part of that same association. Fang Yi taps open on the announcement to view more details from the Spirit Energy Practitioners Association, revealing various ranks of spiritual cultivation. He notes that while the content sounds fantastical, the watermark proves it's genuine and officially released by the Xia Country Agency. He reflects that in his past life, he never encountered such information because he was just an ordinary person focused entirely on survival during the disasters. Realizing this might be an official signal for early awakeners, he sits on his bed and decides to resume practicing golden sun breathing as instructed. He closes his eyes and begins breathing steadily. As the heat builds within his body, he starts to sweat but stays concentrated. Flames of golden energy swirl around him as he levitates in his room. A narration explains step 1 of the process, strengthening the body into a vessel capable of absorbing the energy of heaven and earth. As if becoming a living weapon, he channels his spirit energy and concentrates intensely, commanding himself to shape it into the form of the divine axe as golden power explodes around him. As the energy condenses above him, Fang Yi wonders if this could truly be it. Then the system confirms his breakthrough to Ghost Axe 1-star rank. A new system appears, reminding him that he has 50 writing points available to convert knowledge into skills. He had forgotten about them, but now considers using them to boost his new cultivation rank even further. Fang Yi reflects on the system's explanation, questioning what it means to forcibly embed power into anything. Curious, he holds out his glowing hand and wonders if a random object like a mug would qualify as anything. A system window appears, asking if he wants to use a writing point to embed the sun attribute into the mug. As the mug glows, he realizes his guess was right. Smirking with satisfaction, Fang Yi confirms to himself that this new ability has limitless potential. He realizes that forcibly embedding attributes means granting objects supernatural powers. He wonders what would happen if he used this ability on a weapon like a sword or a gun, rather than a mug. He looks at a sword in his possession, understanding that a weapon crafted specifically for him with supernatural powers will be crucial in the future. Fang Yi stares at the sword in its case, planning to experiment with the system and test its effects before committing to forging a true weapon. Determined, he resolves to fully prepare for the coming threat of mutated beasts. Under the moonlit night, a large mutated beast approaches the building from the forest. The mutated beast crouches in the darkness, watching intently. Inside the room, the sound of coughing echoes repeatedly and moonlight spills through the window onto the bed. Fang Yi lies in bed, sweating and coughing as he shifts slightly and murmurs. Suddenly, he slowly opens his eyes. He sits at the edge of his bed with his feet touching the floor. He walks into the living room and stops, noticing something while moonlight floods the space. He focuses on a sound, thinking that ever since he entered Ghost Axe, his sense of hearing has become sharper than normal, making it easy to hear noises from nearby houses. Still lying on the couch, he continues hearing repeated coughing sounds and realizes something isn't right. Fang Yi peeks out his apartment door and hears coughing echoing from the corridor. He spots a beast with glowing red eyes and black feathers in the hallway and identifies the sound source it's there. Recognizing it, he realizes the creature is a mutated rabbit beast affected by the mutation. He recalls that even with distant memories from his previous life, seeing this beast again still sends chills through him. Meanwhile, a helicopter with a spotlight approaches the city. A girl with long hair stands on a rooftop under the moonlight, stating that the rabbit who consumed the dark spirit fruit is still on the loose and that its speed is shockingly fast. She instructs to stay updated on any new developments while continuing to eat the lollipop. She leaps across rooftops, swiftly moving through the city. While midair, she suddenly senses something and turns her attention toward it. With force, she kicks off the building and accelerates toward the source. The girl reports that she has detected the beast's dark energy again, and that it fled 20 kilometers away to a residential area. She urges for immediate pursuit to protect the residents. She pushes off a building wall with force. While flipping through the sky, she warns others to be cautious. The beast has consumed a spirit fruit, and although its transformation isn't complete, it may still grow stronger. A man on the street looks up in surprise as a blur of light streaks across the night sky. Inside the Central Channel manga department, a man wonders if he's hallucinating from working too much. Another colleague scolds him, asking if he's done with the manga. He points out that they're on the 65th floor, shocked by what he's seeing outside, a figure leaping in front of the full moon. Meanwhile, the mutated beast charges toward Fang Yi, letting out a roar. Fang Yi's eye lights up with intense golden energy in response. He notes that ever since his breakthrough, his body has improved. He can clearly see the beast's slow movements, and his muscles react fast enough to dodge its attacks. Power gathers in his hand as golden energy crackles around it. He wonders if these terrifying mutated beasts are already appearing this early, as he charges forward with his energy ready to strike. He recalls from his past life that the beast hasn't fully transformed yet, but its current stage boosts its power and madness due to the dark energy. He prepares to strike, determined to stop it before the residents fall victim to its rampage. He grabs the beast firmly, unleashing his power through his glowing hand. A loud crack echoes as he slams the beast down with full force. He pins the beast down and stays focused as golden energy surrounds him. He realizes the beast's weak point is its tail and prepares to strike. He launches himself upward, shattering the ground as the beast is thrown into the air. His eyes glow fiercely as he channels energy into his glowing fist. A powerful golden beam shoots upward, blasting the beast mid-air. The beast screams in pain as it's struck directly by the concentrated energy attack. The mutated beast attempts to absorb a powerful glowing energy ball as it faces Fang Yi. Fang Yi strikes the beast directly with the yang element energy, questioning if it dares absorb it. The intense solar energy floods the beast's body as it begins to lose control. Fang Yi declares that the sun's power is too majestic and that the beast is bringing about its own destruction. A massive explosion erupts from the energy clash. The man in bed reacts to the explosion, wondering if it was thunder. He looks out the window, puzzled, trying to see what caused the noise. Fang Yi lands outside the building surrounded by glowing energy fragments, observing that there's nothing left. He reflects that the creature had acted desperately, as if it was starving and trying to consume all the energy from his body. As golden energy fades from his feet, a red eye rolls near Fang Yi. He stomps the ground firmly, cracking it beneath him. Fang Yi thinks to himself that although the beast used the darkness element, its attacks were wild and reckless. The yang element inside him suppressed its energy, revealing just how desperately hungry it truly was. Fang Yi reflects that if he hadn't awakened, he would have been devoured like the others by the mutated beasts whose hunger had already begun to manifest. He knows that to survive future threats, he must gather more spirit energy techniques. Meanwhile, under the full moon, the girl descends from the sky. She lands forcefully in the forest. She steps forward and questions if the target is truly dead. Kneeling down, she confirms the corpse has been torn apart and decides to begin collecting the remaining dark element energy. As she reaches toward the ground, she suddenly reacts to something unexpected. The girl winces in shock from the heat, pulling her hand back and wondering how intense the temperature is. She realizes the heat is due to a high-level yang energy, one with a pure concentration, similar to what's detected at Qingcheng University, and suspects it's no coincidence. Raising her hand to her earpiece, she contacts HQ, confirming the rabbit is dead and explains she wasn't the one who killed it. A new pioneer did, someone possessing a high-grade elemental affinity. Someone at HQ asks if the person who purified the polluted zone at Qingcheng University's northern gate and killed the mutated rabbit is the same individual. Another confirms the person isn't listed in the HQ archives and remarks on the unusual talent of a pioneer with such pure elemental power. They insist the association must reach out to him immediately. The girl agrees, activating flames and energy in her hands as she prepares to store the sample. She seals the yang element energy carefully inside her cloak. HQ instructs her to postpone all other missions and focus entirely on tracking the new pioneer and gathering any information about him. They hope to persuade him to join the Spirit Energy Association. The girl calmly unwraps her lollipop. She acknowledges the command with a quiet "understood" as she places the lollipop in her mouth. Still chewing, she casually says that before anything else she just wants a cup of milk tea. Fang Yi wonders who this mysterious person is, recognizing that such overwhelming power must belong to a true expert. He silently vows to meet him no matter what it takes. Fang Yi stretches his arms wide in front of a large window as sunlight pours in. He states that the whole day's plan starts in the morning and acknowledges the dazzling sunlight. He removes his shirt, revealing a muscular physique, and mentions that waking up early helps with his cultivation. As he stands in the sunlight, glowing energy begins swirling around him while he activates the golden sun breathing technique, directing himself to feel the morning sun and operate the technique. Surrounded by radiant golden energy, Fang Yi explains that after entering the Ghost Axe realm, he can now sense the aura of the mountain masterpiece more clearly when using the golden sun breathing technique, which feels like threads circling the divine axe. A sudden explosion of light erupts as he realizes the breakthrough happened faster than expected, surprising him. Fang Yi clenches his glowing fist with determination, channeling the power through his arm as energy surges outward. Lifting the golden axe, he notes it feels much lighter than before. As he swings it, He reflects that cultivation is like chopping wood, what truly matters is persistence. He swings the golden axe downward with force as radiant energy shoots up through his body. He channels the power while standing firm, stating that his axe technique is becoming more refined and destructive. With golden eyes glowing, he senses his body becoming stronger, remarking that his physical toughness has increased. He reflects that although his progress seems fast, it's due to unused residual energy from his previous breakthrough to 1 star. Surrounded by golden flames, Fangyi decides that from now on, he must level up gradually, 1 step at a time. As he glances at a package labeled Authentic Goods, he notes that the anomalies caused by his cultivation are too flashy and thinks he needs to find a quieter place. At the association office, an older man hears something and reacts with curiosity. Holding a phone, the man detects a solar energy fluctuation and immediately suspects Fangyi as the source again. In a quiet mountain forest by a stream, Fangyi sits cross-legged and activates a screen interface in front of him. When prompted to use code points to implant a yang attribute into an item, he confirms with a yes as golden energy wraps around him. He recalls a past attempt where he used a figurine as a weapon. The coding worked, but it couldn't handle the yang attribute's power. Now wielding a new blade, Fangyi senses that not all props can be turned into weapons. But this one is different. He feels the blade and his body share the same origin and resonate together strongly. The screen confirms that the coding was successful. Surrounded by golden energy, Fangyi praises the weapon and prepares to test its power with a strong swing. Shocked by the overwhelming force, he exclaims in surprise as a massive burst of light explodes from the weapon. Holding the glowing blade with a confident stance, Fangyi unleashes a fiery arc of energy in a wide slash. Fangyi unleashes a massive slash that nearly causes a wildfire, relieved that the situation didn't get worse. Seeing the smoke and destruction, he realizes it was too loud and he's probably already been noticed. He prepares to leave quickly. Meanwhile, the girl rushes toward the scene, frustrated and yelling repeatedly in anger. She complains that she only went to redeem a coupon and buy milk tea, but missed something important, blaming her bad luck on retrograde Mercury. The girl looks surprised and shouts in shock upon realizing something about a hot spring. As she rushes through swirling smoke, she questions what the Buddha statue just did and wonders how to handle the aftermath and where to report it. With teary eyes, she worries about getting scolded by the cleanup department again and complains that ever since they appeared, nothing good has happened. Suddenly, she's caught off guard as something hits her from behind. The girl is shocked and yells in disbelief, realizing that last night the aura was still 1-star ghost axe, but now it has advanced to 2-star and even carries the presence of a spirit weapon. A visual explanation describes spirit weapons as powerful tools infused with attributes, far beyond ordinary weapons. She notes that spirit weapons are extremely rare, with the association only possessing 2. She's confused how someone else could have one, especially since current tech is still incomplete and restricted from public use. After a pause, she nervously laughs it off, saying it must be a mistake on her part. Sitting by the stream, she prepares to cool it down and clean up the aftermath. Walking through the forest, Fangyi reflects that his weapon has the yang attribute now, but the system never said it was limited to just 1. Remembering the system's words, he notes that many techniques can be coded, and anything in the world can become coding material. He wonders if he can stack multiple attributes onto the same weapon. While checking his phone, Fangyi receives a message from someone asking if he's a pioneer. The sender reveals they checked his browser history and saw he entered the realm after using a driver post. Fangyi realizes he forgot to set his privacy settings. The conversation continues with the user saying their group has 3 members trying to connect with other pioneers. Fangyi responds that he's a newbie too. They ask about his cultivation progress, mention how tough the body tempering divine axe is, and share a rumor about a national team player reaching that realm. Fangyi replies that it sounds impressive. Fangyi is surprised to learn that even official military recruits are still only at the Ghost Axe realm. He receives a message from Idug-72 about a newly formed pollution zone and a suggestion to team up, offering safety and shared loot. Fangyi is intrigued and questions the new zone. He asks for the location, and Idug-72 sends a compressed data file titled Dark River Molten Dragon. Fangyi begins extracting the file. The file explains that the pollution zone originated from a dark river altered by tectonic shifts, now turned into molten layer due to world mutation. Fang Yi notes its yang type attribute matches his and considers it a promising opportunity. Fang Yi sends a message confirming his participation in the team-up. In the Anhua district, someone asks Old Lai when his friend will arrive. A group stands before a massive sealed entrance, with one member thanking Xiaoya for the detailed map and intel that helped him find the location easily. Another member expresses gratitude for the group's support and reminds everyone that once they're inside, they'll need to watch out for each other. Zhang Xiaoya, a staff member from the Ministry of Culture's Spiritual Energy Cultivation Association, laments that there don't seem to be any standout pioneers to recommend this time. A narration explains that most pioneers don't realize the association is a government agency, and becoming a formal member is extremely difficult, often requiring heavy connections and multiple tests. Zhang Xiaoya sighs, dreading overtime if the group doesn't discover anything. Just then, someone excitedly recognizes Fang Yi approaching. Fang Yi steps forward confidently and introduces himself to the group, saying it's nice to meet them all. She observes Fang Yi and guesses he's at Ghost Axe Realm 2-star. She finds his strong aura unusual, it's warm and not oppressive. The group stands ready at the cave entrance. Someone announces that since everyone's gathered, it's time to move out. Another responds with an okay. Inside the cave, Fang Yi takes the lead and tells Zhang Xiaoya to handle the light. She agrees, and the group begins their cautious descent. As they explore, one member warns Fang Yi to be careful of loose rocks. Another comments the heat isn't as intense as expected. They guess it's because they haven't reached the core of the pollution zone yet, and Fang Yi reminds everyone to prioritize safety and speak up if tired. Fang Yi reflects that although he arrived last, the group has already welcomed him warmly. He senses their friendliness is genuine, whether out of kindness or survival instinct. The team reaches a cavern filled with glowing molten lava. One of them exclaims in awe, realizing it really is lava. Fang Yi suddenly steps forward toward the lava without hesitation, alarming the group. Zhang Xiaoya warns him not to act recklessly with danger ahead. Ignoring their shouts, Fang Yi plunges a weapon into the lava. The others panic, yelling at him for being reckless and shouting to pull him back immediately. Flames erupt violently from the lava pit as Fang Yi makes contact, shocking the rest of the team. The system detects a world anomaly called Inner Flame and begins analyzing it while activating ultimate computing power to code the phenomenon. The analysis reveals that the Inner Flame has an extremely high internal temperature and explosive traits, making it incredibly destructive. The system then describes the Crimson Flame Blade technique when the blade is drawn. Each strike is surrounded by blazing flames and lightning, unleashing its full might. Fang Yi prepares his hand to activate the technique, surrounded by swirling fire energy. He declares that it perfectly complements his Tang blade and chooses to spend a serial point to embed the Inner Flame attribute into the weapon. The team watches in awe from a distance as Fang Yi rises safely from the lava. They notice his weapon is absorbing the layer's energy and confirm he's unharmed. As flames swirl around his newly enhanced blade, Fang Yi stands confidently. One of the team members praises his discovery, deciding to absorb energy during training too. Fang Yi notes that the spiritual energy has stabilized, and it's time to cultivate. Another teammate raises his arms, excitedly saying he can now absorb energy smoothly. A second person shares the same experience, saying with a bit more training, they'll officially enter the cultivation path. Zhang Xiaoya smiles and assures them not to worry about safety. She's only there to gather intel and will keep watch while they focus on their training. Everyone expresses gratitude to her. Suddenly, Zhang Xiaoya turns toward the cave entrance and notices new figures approaching. She warns the group that more pioneers are coming. A group of aggressive newcomers arrives. The red-haired leader mocks the others, calling them small fries, and declares the area his. Zhang Xiaoya looks back at her cultivating teammates and realizes all three enemies are at 1-star Ghost Axe Realm, concluding they can't risk provoking them. She politely responds that they found the location first and her friends have already started absorbing energy. She offers to share the space if they're willing to cultivate peacefully. The man mocking her strength and yelling at her to get lost. He threatens violence if they don't leave immediately. Zhang Xiaoya silently reflects that in this era of spiritual energy revival, The rule is survival of the fittest and the weak are left behind. Despite that, she reminds herself that as a member of the Xia Countries Association, she can't let this continue and must intervene. Just then, Fang Yi steps forward with a confident "heh," surprising her. Standing tall, Fang Yi confronts the red-haired man, accusing him of only knowing how to bully a girl. The man reacts with shock, shouting "What?" Fang Yi unsheathes his flaming blade and strikes, sending out a powerful shockwave that pushes back the enemies, stunning everyone around. The man shouts for his group to fall back as Fang Yi's flaming attack blasts them into the air, overwhelming their defense. One of Fang Yi's teammates is startled by the sudden energy shockwave and asks what just happened. Fang Yi reflects that the tragedies in this world began because cultivators started worshipping the idea of the strong preying on the weak. But he concludes that such people aren't swayed by words or moral teachings, only power can stop them. Fang Yi unleashes another fiery slash, telling the enemy to get lost as the attack erupts with explosive force. The leader is stunned by the second explosion, panicking and questioning what kind of monster he's facing. Overwhelmed, the enemy group turns and flees in terror as Fang Yi calmly holds his sword. Fang Yi's teammates rush over in excitement, praising his insane power and saying that his sword slash looked incredibly cool. Fang Yi smiles and says the enemies crossed the line, but they've absorbed enough spiritual energy, so it's time to leave. As the group agrees and prepares to exit the spirit zone, they reflect on how destructive Fang Yi's attack could have been if it had fully landed. Watching him walk away, Zhang Xiaoya observes that he's clearly a top-tier pioneer with elite talent and a powerful attribute. Clenching her fist, she firmly decides that this event must be reported to the organization. At the Spiritual Energy Cultivation Association office, a woman reacts to a report and asks if another high-tier attribute pioneer has appeared. Zhang Xiaoya on the other end is shocked to hear the word "another." Caught off guard, the girl nervously denies anything suspicious while secretly confirming she recorded the event and should be contacted for any updates. She ends the call, saving the data, as instructed. Later, excited, she tells her teacher that they've found 2 high-tier pioneers back-to-back, but he dismisses it, saying it's not luck. Anyone with a high-tier attribute now holds value and will soon rise to power. The older man rubs his forehead, frustrated by recent developments, thinking it's all becoming too complicated and he wants to quit. Meanwhile, in town, Fang Yi walks in a hoodie and sword. Girls nearby admire his appearance, thinking he looks like a powerful character, making Fang Yi embarrassed. As he silently continues walking, others around admire him. A caption notes he's pretending to be a cosplayer to avoid attention. Suddenly, Fang Yi receives breaking news on his phone. The events from cultivation novels are starting to come true. Golden light in the east, a purple aura, and even a dragon sighting. Fang Yi realizes the anomaly was caused by his inner flame's power, which he underestimated at 2000 degrees Celsius. He rules out Old Lai or Zhang Xiaoya leaking his traits. He thinks absorbing yang-type energy might let him break through if he uses the golden sun breathing technique again. Deciding not to delay, he heads toward the back mountain to continue cultivating. 5 minutes later, at the back mountain, Bai King stretches and celebrates completing her task. She's startled by a sudden powerful energy surge glowing in the distance and quickly senses it's coming from the mountain. The overwhelming aura spirals upward, signaling someone is breaking through to the 3-star Ghost Axe realm. Shocked by the scale of the energy, Bai King realizes this breakthrough is beyond monstrous and questions who could be behind it. Bai King slams her foot down, deciding she must immediately investigate the source of the massive energy surge. As she rushes forward with determination, she wonders if the one behind it could be that guy, though it seems too unlikely. Fang Yi raises his hands as spiritual energy begins forming above him, spinning rapidly in a spiral while lightning crackles in the background. He sits cross-legged, surrounded by intense golden flames, eyes glowing. His body is enveloped in a complex aura, and he maintains a focused hand seal. The golden energy condenses further, mixing with blue currents as it takes the shape of a glowing axe. Bai King watches from above, realizing that Fang Yi is trying to control a divine axe. She notes the difficulty of manipulating spiritual power so precisely and wonders if he secretly trained for several years without anyone knowing. Bai King recalls how she previously failed while breaking through, vomiting blood and collapsing under pressure. She stares at Fang Yi from her bed and questions if he's truly a monster born from thunder. She observes how the divine axe is filled with spiritual energy, and how Fang Yi controls it precisely. She notes that every movement of the aura looks like it could strike with immense force, and recognizes that someone like him isn't just a genius, he's a being summoned by the heavens. Meanwhile, how most cultivators would rush to finish after forming a core, but Fang Yi maintains sharp focus and sword-like intent. He compares Fang Yi's calm to that of a high-ranking cultivator. Bai King chases the divine axe's aura as it begins to move again. She yells that the divine axe has shifted toward the east. Fang Yi's eyes glow intensely with golden light. He rises into the air, fully wrapped in golden lightning as energy erupts around him. He successfully breaks through to the second star of the Ghost Axe realm. Bai King braces herself amid the crashing energy blasts, breathing heavily while standing within the storm of golden lightning. She is flung back by a massive energy surge as Fang Yi's divine axe unleashes a shockwave, engulfing the area in golden force. Catching her breath, Bai King wonders why she still can't get close even though only 30 seconds have passed. She realizes he may have already detected her presence and worries he might act against her next. Her eyes narrow with sudden realization. Looking up at a large, glowing tree bathed in sunlight, Bai King notes that the divine axe seems to have stopped and hasn't yet fully awakened. Fang Yi hides in the trees and watches Bai King, realizing she's the one who's been investigating him over the past few days. Bai King introduces herself as the captain of a field team from the Spirit Energy Association. She formally extends an invitation to Fang Yi on behalf of the organization. Fang Yi responds calmly, explaining that he's only been following her these past 2 days in hopes of joining the official association. He assures her that his actions weren't meant to leave a bad impression. He adds that while the association hasn't made a public announcement yet, all internal documentation is already formalized. Bai King wonders if he'll misunderstand her actions or think she's been bothering him. She focuses on staying calm. Fang Yi questions Bai King's reasoning. She tries to answer but hesitates, overwhelmed by his directness. She debates whether to be honest, unsure if revealing the truth would make things worse. He explains that he wanted to locate the Spirit Energy Association early to integrate with their system and correct misunderstandings about rogue cultivators, giving both sides more clarity. He acknowledges that despite their differences, they all must face the same threats ahead. Fang Yi admits that if he were her, he wouldn't trust someone like him easily either, and joining an organization without certainty feels like deception. Bai King remains silent, visibly affected by his honesty. Bai King pulls out her ID card and formally introduces herself as Su Mantang, an athlete from the Spirit Energy Association. She enthusiastically holds her badge up high, hoping Fang Yi recognizes her. She asks him to believe her, treating it like proof of her sincerity. Fang Yi examines her and mutters that her name does seem a bit familiar to him. Fang Yi realizes she had better conditions and training, which likely helped her become an elite runner. He acknowledges it explains her speed, but something still bothers him. Fang Yi looks serious, remembering that in his previous life, Su Mantang failed to fulfill her mission and humanity was ultimately wiped out. He recalls the destruction of the world and thinks that now that he's been reborn and granted a system, he must one day join their cause, but the time isn't right yet. Su Mantang smiles and says she really does recognize him, hoping it builds trust. Fang Yi quickly leaps away, telling her he'll consider the offer, leaving behind a trail of wind. Fang Yi reappears behind Su Mantang and tells her to temporarily keep his identity and actions a secret from others. Based on her conduct, he concludes that the Spirit Energy Association likely trusts her more than other scouts. He internally decides to make use of her abilities, believing she can serve his goals well. Su Mantang agrees to cooperate but says the association has already noticed the disturbance from his breakthrough and she must still report it eventually, perhaps in half a year. Fang Yi accepts the condition and calmly agrees. Su Mantang leaps through the forest, frustrated that Fang Yi slipped away again. She complains about always missing her chance and the tiring task of reporting back. She grumbles about cleaning up after others' messes, then tells herself to stop dwelling on it. Since she's already on assignment outside, she might as well finish it properly. Receiving a message through her earpiece, Su Mantang is shocked to hear that an abnormal has reappeared. She quickly asks if it's active again. She recalls the brutal monster pack responsible for past horrors. She vows never to forget them. Dark red creatures with twisted forms crawl through ruined cities, hunting, biting, and killing without reason. They target humans and spread chaos wherever they appear. The creatures are classified as abnormal beings by the Spirit Energy Association. Their actions vary in behavior, with some attacking randomly and others following complex strategies. If they're not eliminated early, they grow stronger by absorbing aura, becoming more destructive and difficult to handle. Lightning strikes violently in the middle of a heavy rainstorm, illuminating tall city buildings. Fang Yi steps into a puddle as rain pours heavily. Emergency warnings flash on electronic screens, announcing that the area has entered a dangerous state and civilians should evacuate immediately. Passers-by comment on how frequent these anomalies have become. Fang Yi looks up. He notes the intense lightning pressure in the atmosphere and realizes that the center of the storm is still moving. Fang Yi climbs a flight of stairs in the rain. He stops before a distant mountain struck by purple lightning and mutters that the signal is coming from there. Without hesitation, he leaps forward into the storm. He lands with speed, sprinting up the slope toward the mountain. He receives a system alert confirming the area ahead is contaminated. Target location, Jade Peak. Another display identifies Jade Peak as a 545-meter mountain and a notable landmark in the city. Fang Yi approaches through the misty, skeletal forest littered with bones. The system reports that the contamination level is currently unknown. Fang Yi continues forward without hesitation. Suddenly, Fang Yi's eyes sharpen as he senses something unusual nearby. A massive bolt of bright blue lightning strikes down in front of him. The meeting begins with a report showing a mountain struck by lightning. They explain that the spiritual energy levels are rising, and the danger level of Yuhuang Peak is increasing rapidly. A man in a suit says this is a serious situation. The original cleanup team was reassigned, so the emergency meeting was called. He then asks King Yin to continue the briefing. Bai King, in front of the council, explains that currently the peak is inaccessible due to explosive lightning-type spiritual energy. They had only rated it as an A-level pollution zone so far. Bai King adds that in 1 hour, it will reach a level that demands a new emergency classification. However, based on past data, no one in their district, including herself, has the ability to approach it safely. The officials review death rate estimates and conclude that even Ghost Axe Tier 3 elites have a 100% fatality rate if deployed into the contaminated zone. Another officer proposes immediate lockdown around Yuhuang Peak's base with 24-hour patrols to stop anyone from entering. A second officer agrees, stating the mountain must be sealed completely from the root of the danger. They finalize the decision. No one is allowed near the spirit turbulence until energy levels drop. The zone will remain locked for safety. Suddenly, lightning crashes into the mountain. Amid the rain and flashing light, Fang Yi appears in a hooded cloak, muttering to himself that he will reclaim his memory. Fang Yi stands amid the storm, but realizes it's not enough. To absorb the powerful spiritual energy, he must move deeper into the mountain's core. He reflects on the deadly nature of this energy and its origins. Even ordinary monsters are now strengthened, and the danger level is rising with distortions in space and time. Although he now controls Golden Sun breathing technique and Flame Blade, Fang Yi knows he still lacks the strength to fully wield these powers. Future enemies will be far more terrifying, and even cultivators might struggle against them. He prepares his weapons carefully, combining fire and blade traits to increase his attack power. However, he notes that overuse may also cause severe damage to his body. Only by pushing his limits can he survive what lies ahead. Fang Yi senses the immense lightning energy surrounding him and sees it as the perfect chance to further strengthen his body. He reflects that constant growth requires opportunities hidden within nature's extremes, and he must seize those moments no matter how dangerous. He understands that if he misses this chance, he can only wait for death under the heavens. As a bolt of lightning strikes down, his eyes glow intensely. Gripping his blade tightly, he braces himself for what's to come. As lightning strikes, Fang Yi braces for impact. He marvels at the overwhelming force crashing into him. As he channels his strength, sparks and energy swirl around him, while he clutches his weapon tighter. Caught in the center of the storm, he screams while absorbing the energy, enduring the painful surge through sheer willpower. Breathing heavily but still standing, Fang Yi grips his blade and steadies himself. Fang Yi stands firm, feeling the deadly lightning attribute in his sword. He senses that this force is like a punishment from the heavens. The pressure increases, forcing him to clench his fists and grit his teeth. He realizes that even nearing the lightning's core could crush him instantly. He looks up at the storm, wondering how he can make this wild power submit to him. Taking a deep breath, he calms himself. With a flash of determination, Fang Yi activates Golden Flame breathing at full force, shouting his command to unleash everything he has. Fang Yi charges upward with blazing force, clashing directly with the incoming lightning. Flames burst from his body as he strikes, combining fire and lightning in a single explosive leap toward the sky. Despite blood dripping from his mouth, Fang Yi doesn't falter. With full strength, he pushes forward into the heart of the storm, declaring that he will survive through death itself. He feels the powerful spiritual energy stir through his body, shaking his core and electrifying every cell with intense force. With glowing eyes, he declares that the storm wants him dead, but he refuses to yield. The lightning energy rages forward, expanding wildly as Fang Yi braces for the final clash. A notification appears. A massive surge of lightning energy is being detected and recorded. Meanwhile, people in the city watch the storm from a tower, shocked by the scale of the lightning strike. Fang Yi is engulfed in a massive explosion of lightning and fire. A system message confirms he has obtained Divine Thunder Tempering. Another system prompt appears. Heavenly Thunder drawn, body refined into divinity awarded 50 system points. Surrounded by radiant energy, Fang Yi floats above the mountain. As the inheritor of Divine Thunder, he now carries both lightning and fire attributes, and his presence begins to reshape the weather itself. Fang Yi declares that lightning is both his fangs and his shield. He feels its power flowing through him, enhancing both his offense and defense. He channels the lightning energy into his body and notes that even as it tests him, it does not cause pain. It offers both danger and opportunity. A system prompt appears, offering him the Pure Judgment Lightning ability, capable of delivering 300% damage to evil beings. It asks if he wants to spend system points to acquire it. Fang Yi wonders if he should embed this lightning energy into his blade. Though doing so could damage its structure, it may also break through its limits. Fang Yi considers the risk. If he injects too much lightning attribute, the weapon might not be able to withstand it. A system prompt asks if he wants to embed the lightning attribute into the object. He makes his decision, stating the energy should go into his right hand. Smiling slightly, Fang Yi confirms the command with a firm yes, ready to proceed. Lightning gathers in his hand as he prepares to absorb the power directly. In the next day, at the Yuhuang Peak, military personnel observe the aftermath of the spiritual storm. One officer reports that, unlike expected, someone had already entered the mountain before them. The officer, addressed as Major Han Lai, confirms that the person was a pioneer. Bai King is surprised to hear this and rushes forward to ask if the person survived. Kneeling on the ground, Bai King remains silent as the wind blows around her. She explains she can't sense his attributes or how long he's been gone. The violent lightning from yesterday has made it difficult to track him. Bai King learns the incident occurred around 6 or 7 a.m., with the person entering the mountain just before the team arrived. She's surprised and asks why they didn't detect him. The officer explains that the spiritual burst time matched their association's earlier predictions exactly 7 a.m., and the person might have entered before the data was finalized. Standing over the lightning-scorched peak, the officer says the pollution level was expected to reach this rank, but afterward, the spiritual density dropped drastically. He suspects the intruder may have lightning-based powers, which helped him absorb the energy. He concludes that the person not only survived, but possibly used this event as a rare opportunity. The outcome was too precise to be a coincidence, and the person acted faster than their entire team. Bai King and the officer agree that someone capable of such power is dangerous. They question where this person truly stands, friend or threat. If he's a danger to society, they say, he must be found quickly, as his presence could lead to disaster greater than any anomaly. Meanwhile, Fang Yi wakes up casually in his home, rubbing his head while his sword rests beside him. Back at the command center, the officer declares that no matter the cost, the mysterious person must be located. He assigns a code name, Tyrant. the investigation at Yuhuang Mountain kicked off immediately. The military hoped the Spiritual Practitioners Association would soon bring the mysterious figure known as Tyrant into the fold. Until then, they planned to keep the situation under wraps and run a parallel investigation of their own. Atop the rain-soaked summit, the head of the association informed Major Han Lai that one of their top pioneers was already attempting to establish contact. He then turned to Su Qingying and instructed her to brief the major on what she knew. Caught off guard, Su Qingying gasped quietly, her heart racing. Thrown into the spotlight, she quickly pieced together a report half-truths stitched with care. She linked the recent disturbance to the same pioneer who had resolved the contamination near the local university. Internally, she was a mess nervous that one wrong word might expose her secret alliance with Fang Yi. She explained she'd been trying to reach him, but he'd proven difficult to track down. She recalled finding a mutated rabbit's corpse, clearly killed by him, and correctly identified the presence of yang flame energy at the scene. Wrapping up, she promised to continue closing the gap between them and uncover how he'd managed to purify the university's gate. As she spoke, she prayed silently, relying on a mix of truth and deception to keep her story believable. Major Han Lai listened carefully, pondering the significance of a pioneer possessing the yang flame attribute. He seemed satisfied with her explanation and praised her for her effort, calling her a gifted young pioneer. Su Qingying saluted with sharp precision, responding that she was simply fulfilling her duty. Once the meeting concluded, Major Han Lai mentioned plans to spread false reports of natural disasters to keep the public from panicking. He also voiced concerns about posting spiritual energy intel online where it could be exploited by malicious actors. While the conversation continued, Su Qingying exhaled quietly, grateful the grilling was over. Meanwhile, at his home, Fang Yi activated his golden sun breathing technique to dry his soaked hoodie. In seconds, it gleamed with radiant warmth, dry, clean, and almost glowing. He then turned his attention inward, examining the changes within his body. Even after adding the powerful thunder element, the contrast was striking. His right hand now crackled with blue lightning, completely transformed and significantly strengthened. As he moved his fingers, small sparks danced between them. He could sense a breakthrough approaching. What surprised him most was how tame the thunder energy had become. It now obeyed him completely. This was a huge change from the violent pain he endured when he first awakened his yang power. He recalled the system's message. This thunder ability doubled damage against supernatural threats. He was eager to test it in battle. A sudden ping from his phone snapped him out of his thoughts. He picked it up, wondering what fresh chaos had arrived. After previous experiences, he'd set up custom alerts for emergencies, knowing that in this era, official warnings were more than just safety tips. For pioneers like him, each crisis was a new chance to grow, even if it meant putting his life on the line. He checked the breaking news. A massive explosion had rocked a chemical plant, spreading dangerous pollutants across the city. Official reports claimed there were no injuries and urged the public to stay calm. But Fang Yi didn't buy it. He browsed online forums where eyewitnesses described a chilling atmosphere around the blast site. Some spoke of an unnatural, evil presence. Others backed up the claim. The words "cold and evil aura" stood out to Fang Yi. A horrifying memory from his previous life surfaced. Blood. A monstrous hand. Chaos. He recalled hiding in terror from a giant, crimson, many-eyed beast that tore everything apart. He knew exactly what it was, a mutated creature, once plant or animal, that gained awareness and transformed into a deadly predator. They preferred to strike under the cover of night and were far more dangerous than the mutated rabbit he had faced. Realizing the urgency, Fang Yi clenched his lightning-charged fist. He couldn't allow this creature to grow stronger. Tonight, he would face it. Surrounded by a field of crackling electricity, he stood ready to test his new skill, a 200% critical damage boost. That same rainy night, empty streets glistened beneath the storm. Blurs raced across the slick roads, and an elite squad in black cloaks moved like shadows through the city. They were the destroyer squad tasked with hunting anomalies. One operative reported that they had been tracking a target named Candle Knight, but had lost it. Its ability to vanish into darkness made it incredibly difficult to follow. The operative added new intel. The creature gave off a low, sizzling sound and preyed on humans. High above the city, lightning flashed as the team landed on a rooftop. Their leader, a hard-faced man with silver hair and a scar, knew the storm gave the creature an advantage. With determination, he declared they had to stop it. At the central command station, an operator received the update. The report on Candle Knight was finalized. An extermination directive was immediately issued, priority level red. The target needed to be neutralized within 12 hours. The squad received instructions: continue the hunt, but don't risk unnecessary casualties. With renewed urgency, they dashed across rooftops. The squad leader paused to check a glowing digital map. Red dots marked multiple active threats. 12 hours wasn't ideal, but it was the best the stretched resources of the nation could offer. Just as they neared Candle Knight's last known location, a warning came in. The area was currently under the jurisdiction of the Spiritual Energy Cultivation Association. A photo of Su Qingying popped up on the screen. She and her team were already on site, monitoring pioneers. The squad leader acknowledged the update and requested her assistance, noting her reputation for exceptional work. Elsewhere, Su Qingying raised an eyebrow, surprised by her sudden fame. Back in the field, the destroyer squad waited under the rain. Soon, Su Qingying and her cloaked team arrived, taking position on a rooftop above. With a playful smirk, she asked if they were the ones dragging her out for some overtime. The squad leader wasn't amused. He firmly explained that Candle Knight was a man-eater. This was no casual favor. One of Su Qingying's teammates shot back, questioning his rude approach. Su Qingying turned to leave, sarcastically suggesting that since they seemed so capable, maybe they didn't need her after all. Her team followed, murmuring to one another, some concerned about her sharp attitude, others insisting their missions were just as risky. Panic flashed across the squad leader's face. He called out, apologizing and pleading for help. He emphasized how deadly Candle Knight was and how much they needed her renowned tracking skills. If they failed, he warned, innocent lives would be lost. Cloak's squad stands on a rooftop overlooking the city in the rain. One of them detects something and announces they've found it. The portal unleashes a strange force, spiraling down into the city. A creature with red eyes emerges in the shadows. File number 7. Candle Knight likes darkness, dampness, eating people. The squad receives the command. The man confirms. Destruction squad, begin operation. As they prepare to engage, the monster Candle Knight stirs. Its glowing red eyes fixate on the squad's direction. Candle Knight leaps from its position with explosive speed. One of the squad members shouts that the target has detected them and commands the squad to deploy formation. The monster Candle Knight lunges forward, but members of the squad dash in from multiple directions. One shouts east, others respond in unison, surrounding the target from all sides with precise coordination. The squad yells in unison as they close in on the monster with intensity. As the team positions themselves, Candle Knight lets out a roar, and one squad member rises from the shadows to kill it. The strike hit hard at the monster, as he lets out a sharp squeal and pounces in response. Then, the monster swipes through debris, showing its physical power. Its eyes glow red as it snarls in rage. With a furious roar, Candle Knight spins into a vortex of energy, launching into a terrifying spiral attack. Bai King warns the squad to dodge quickly, shouting that a soundwave attack is incoming. A spiraling shockwave tears through the battlefield, sending squad members flying as the vortex smashes the surroundings. Bai King checks on their leader, asking if he's okay. The captain, bleeding from his arm, admits that if he hadn't backed off in time, the impact would have shattered his bones. He warns that with its dark attributes and destructive force, Candle Knight will cause catastrophe if it stays in the city. Candle Knight's body glows green as it channels corrosive dark energy. A massive green shockwave erupts beneath the creature as it unleashes its power into the ground. The monster starts digging rapidly, melting through the earth with corrosive breath in an attempt to escape. Bai King shouts that it's trying to burrow underground. Another warns that its dark attribute corrodes anything it touches instantly, and they lack a high-tier counter attribute to stop it. A squad member explains that while Candle Knight can corrode the ground, it can't tunnel out instantly. He urges the team not to break formation, reminding them their role is intel and tactical support. Another soldier shouts for everyone to stay alert. Suddenly, glowing red eyes emerge from the darkness. Candle Knight bursts out violently and strikes, knocking a squad member into the air with a fierce blow. The leader yells for everyone to chase the monster before it escapes. As they follow the green energy trail, a surge in spiritual energy is detected. Reaching a rooftop, one member notices the spike and commands the others to wait outside while they follow the target in. Inside an abandoned factory, the lead scout prepares to scan for spiritual energy readings before proceeding. The leader asks if the device on the Bai King wrist is the new auxiliary tool from the association. She confirms and explains that the average squad can handle anomaly levels up to 50. The creature they chased was just below that at 48. Suddenly, the watch spikes to 80 and continues rising, shocking them. She realizes there's more than one anomaly present. As the group enters the factory, a dark serpent looms above. They both turn in alarm as a loud crash behind them confirms they're not alone. Another threat has arrived. Bai King realizes they were tricked. Candle Knight lured them in to trap them with another anomaly. She tells the group they must retreat immediately. The leader suggests heading to the door. If the anomaly wants to stop them, it will have to reveal itself. Together, they fire an attack to force the door open. As they run, Bai King is struck by something and collapses, gasping in pain. She realizes her senses and body are being overtaken by the poison gas as a dark creature looms in the mist. She calls out to the others but gets no reply. Alone in the mist-filled factory, she suspects they're nearby but unable to respond. Holding her communicator, she pieces it together. Candle Knight lured them in, but the poisonous place belongs to another anomaly, likely a giant serpent. The serpent's face emerges from the toxic fog. She realizes that unlike Candle Knight's dark powers, this mist is poisonous and began affecting them the moment they entered. The gas not only paralyzes senses but drains spiritual energy rapidly. She knows if she tries to attack now, her energy will run out. She's already close to collapse. Lying on the ground, she questions what kind of anomaly could possess such intelligence and overwhelming power. It feels like they're being toyed with. Her body collapses completely. A faint light breaks through the ceiling above, but she's too weak to move. As her eye barely opens, struggling to stay conscious as she senses something approaching. Fang Yi crashes down from above, descending with confidence. He lands firmly on the ground, cracking the floor beneath him with sheer impact. Standing tall, he faces the looming serpent and confirms it's a dark attribute anomaly, unfazed and fully in control. The black serpent lunges with jaws wide open, aiming to devour the intruder. He dodges swiftly, but a second creature, Candle Knight, crashes into him from above. He's forced back, growling in frustration as both enemies close in. Realizing the truth mid-battle, he confirms there are two anomalies working together. He smirks, realizing one anomaly lures while the other harvests. He mocks Candle Knight, biting him, saying it must enjoy it too much. Power surges through him as he activates thunder energy. He slashes through the serpent, burning its body with a blazing attack enhanced by thunder. With lightning crackling, he turns to the next enemy and challenges it to handle fire next. The serpent becomes extremely angry after seeing our MC's interface, and the moment it spots our MC, it starts attacking him. However, seeing the serpent charging in for an attack, our MC dodges and quickly draws out his sword, getting ready to attack the serpent. As soon as the serpent pulls its head out from the wall and looks upward, it realizes that the person in front of it is charging in with a sword to strike. At this moment, our MC had already gotten very close to it, and upon reaching right near it, he strikes the sword directly at the center of the serpent's head. The MC's attack lands directly on the serpent's skull, and it slices the python right down the middle. Just after landing the attack, our MC steps back slightly and looks in shock as the serpent, even after being split in half, starts regenerating again. Our MC, Fang Yi, already knew something like this would happen. He had expected it, that the serpent would surely have a regeneration ability. While the serpent is trying to recover, at that very moment, a powerful bolt of electricity strikes its head. The moment the lightning hits its head, it begins screaming in agony. Seeing this, our MC smiles. This attack was launched by him. Watching the python die in front of him, our MC smiles and thinks, "Good thing I sensed it in advance. This serpent's dark aura is even denser than Candle Knight's." Then he raises his sword once again and attacks the python. Just now, while wielding the Tang sword and unleashing the power of internal flame, I controlled the force and retracted it. Using the sword as a carrier, I condensed and channeled the thunderbolt power in my hand into the snake's body. The moment the MC's fire-type attack is unleashed through the blade and strikes the python starts burning. Seeing this, our MC thinks, as a dark-type anomaly, Candle Knight may be eerie and sneaky, but its power is relatively weak. It's bloodthirsty, but at most it could only harm 1 or 2 humans, not truly evolved. But this serpent. Just then, at that very moment, our MC groans in pain and notices that snake scales are attached to his shoulder, spreading poison through his body. Our MC starts recalling the fight with the python, thinking about how this happened. Then he remembers when the scales made contact with his body. Thinking back, he says, "Just as I thought, it's a cunning mutated species. Its intelligence has even improved. These sneak attacks are deadly. Its poison carries a built-in paralyzing effect. It kills silently, without a trace." At this moment, our MC is feeling intense pain, probably because of the continuous flow of the golden sun breathing technique within his body. The moment he feels this, he starts thinking again. The yang flame attribute can dissolve poison. The golden sun breathing technique protects and heals, and the thunder attribute purifies. These two give a clear pain response to poison intrusion, warning me of incoming enemy attacks. But for others less lucky, even with some defensive ability, it may be incurable. This serpent grew to this size so stealthily. Besides likely being at 3-star Ghost Axe realm, it surely relies on ambush predation. Not to mention, with Candle Knight as a partner, it's the perfect trap combo for elite pioneers. It's probably devoured quite a few people by now. Many pioneers who never met up with the association are likely. As he's thinking all this, in front of him, the serpent's body continues to burn. Our MC keeps staring at the serpent and continues thinking. Finally, no matter how sinister and venomous it was, its end is ash and dust. The inner flame energy was pure, but the thunder attribute's triple crit really stole the spotlight. I feel like my combat ability is pretty decent among pioneers now, right? And just after a short while, the serpent completely turns to ash. After burning it entirely, our MC moves his hand close to the burning fire, but suddenly stops and begins looking around. Sensing something, he looks into the smoke where Su Qingqing is coughing because of the smoke. She appears to be in extremely bad condition, looking almost semi-unconscious. Seeing her, our MC says, "This is that girl from the association. What was her name again?" Then walking closer to her, our MC says, "There's no need for you to keep pretending. I know you're faking your death. You should improve your acting skills. It's clear you're just pretending." Seeing our MC up close, Su Qingqing starts covering her face and thinks to herself, "Oh my god, enemies always meet on narrow paths. It really was him earlier?" Then, trying to make an excuse, she says, "I woke up because of the smell. I wasn't pretending. I really did pass out." And after saying this, she stands up. Our MC, watching her, smiles and says, "You're strong. Your teammates all ran out of energy and passed out, but you still had enough left to shield yourself. If you had no will left, you wouldn't have been able to smell blood or burnt flesh." Hearing this, Su Qingying thanks him for the compliment. Though she was still hiding her face and thinking to herself, I did keep a sliver of spiritual energy to protect myself, and he noticed. But I have no idea how he beat Candle Knight and that giant serpent. Seeing her like that, our MC says to her, there's no need to cover your eyes. Just be honest and promise not to reveal my identity. When our MC says this, Su Qingying thinks to herself, this time he seems more friendly, and he's actually talking like a friend. Then our MC, bidding her farewell, says, I'm getting late. You and your teammates are no longer in danger, so I'd like to leave first. And with that, he starts to leave. As soon as he begins to go, Su Qingying loudly calls out to stop him, but our MC jumps out through a broken hole in the roof and says, no need. Talking too much only messes things up. I'll leave everything here to you. And with that, our MC exits the building. Walking away, he thinks to himself, good thing she didn't see me trying to absorb the dark attribute just now. That discomfort and eerie coldness, really disgusting. Maybe it's because the dark spiritual energy had already been dispelled, and my body instinctively rejected it that I failed. The system didn't respond either. Forget it. I'll review it later at home. Meanwhile, back inside the building, Su Qingying slaps her teammates awake and says, all of you get up quickly. It's all over now. Just then, the senior member of the team wakes up and immediately shouts, we were ambushed. Then he sees the serpent's body burning right in front of him, and the rest of the teammates, now regaining consciousness, also begin to watch the serpent's dead body burning in flames. Seeing the serpent's corpse burning in the flames, the senior member of the team looked on in shock and asked, what's going on? Where did that overwhelming yang attribute come from? In response, Su Qingying stepped forward and calmly replied, as you can see right in front of you, some pioneers came to help us. She paused for a moment before continuing, it should be the target of my mission. My original task was to track an extremely high-level attribute pioneer this yang attribute. Hearing this, some of the others nearby turned to her in surprise and asked, so, do you know who he is? Su Qingying shook her head slightly and answered, I haven't succeeded yet. His identity is still a mystery. Actually, I was counter-tracked by him. He knew exactly what I was doing. But this time, he saved us. As her words sank in, one of the team members lit up with excitement and exclaimed, to think someone could solo both Candle Knight and that giant serpent, what a monster! The senior, still processing the situation, walked over to the python's dead body. With a serious expression, he said, speaking of which, where's Candle Knight's corpse? Let's clean up the scene first and submit the remains to the association. As the senior began clearing the area of the remaining corpses, his foot suddenly landed on one of the python's scales. The moment his foot touched the serpent's scale, a surge of electricity erupted from it, crackling violently. Shocked, the senior quickly pulled his foot back and shouted, this is violet energy. Then, turning to Su Qingying, he asked urgently, Captain Su Qingying, didn't you say earlier that it was a yang attribute? But this residual electrical charge is way too intense. Hearing this, Su Qingying stepped forward to inspect more closely and asked, is this Candle Knight's corpse? The thunder attribute's purity. It's very strong. Definitely high tier. The senior crouched down near the serpent's charred remains, carefully examining the electrical residue on the ground. He muttered, half in disbelief, could it be 2 high-level pioneers appeared here? One killed the black serpent, one killed Candle Knight, and then they left together. But Su Qingying stood still, staring at the corpse in front of her. Her eyes narrowed in thought as she silently concluded, no, that's not it. How should I put it? Only one person showed up here. No one would believe it, that a single person carried 2 extremely high-level attributes. Just having one of them would make someone a top-tier genius. A dual high-tier attribute pioneer that's practically unheard of. She clenched her fists slightly, her mind racing as she tried to comprehend the truth. Yang Flame Walker, Thunder Tyrant, just what kind of freak is this guy? After that, the story shifts forward slightly in time. Now, around the factory, several association vehicles had arrived. Seeing them pull up outside, Su Qingying thought to herself, good thing I stationed team members outside the factory. If I stayed inside too long, they would report to the association. Based on the situation, the association sent reconnaissance personnel to the scene. Their original intent was to collect our corpses. Inside the factory, Su Qingying was seated with two of her female teammates holding on to her tightly. One of them looked at her with teary eyes and said emotionally, "Boss, you're alive. I thought I'd lost my captain forever." The second added, "If you had died, what would I have done, boss? Tell me." Su Qingying listened to them silently, thinking to herself with mild irritation, what nonsense are they going on about? At that moment, the association's scanning team had entered the factory. Their primary task had now shifted. They were scanning for residual spiritual energy, analyzing the traces, and reconstructing the battle. These were association reconnaissance personnel, and their duty was to report the outcome back to headquarters. As the scanning team examined the serpent's corpse, one of the personnel turned towards Su Qingying and the senior and said, "Both captains, based on trace comparisons at the scene, whether it's combat habits or kill patterns, it all points to one person who killed both anomalies. There's a 99% probability it's the same individual." Hearing this, the senior standing nearby became serious and said, "It really is a dual high-tier attribute pioneer. I thought we'd made a mistake. But indeed, either of those two anomalies alone could have wiped us out." A teammate standing beside him chimed in, "Exactly. This powerhouse finished them off in a single strike. We're all Ghost Axe Realm too, but the gap is ridiculous." Su Qingying quickly stepped aside to make a call and report the findings to the association. She said, "My surveillance target appeared. The data has updated. I need to report to the higher-ups. These are the results. Tyrant and the North Gate of Qingcheng University both were my assigned targets." On the other end of the line, the association's leader responded after hearing her out. "I understand the situation, Su Qingying. For now, I want you to halt your mission. He saved you, eliminated the anomalies, and secured this entire area. That means he doesn't resent the association, and he's not our enemy. Anyway, Old Han and I don't quite see eye to eye on this. For your safety, and to leave a good impression on that tyrant, avoid contacting him for now." Su Qingying responded firmly, "Understood. But I still have one theory, something that happened before, when Tyrant was about to advance at the back mountain." The chief asked, "What do you mean?" She explained, "I once sensed an incredibly strong aura in the area where he was active. I suspected he might have a spiritual weapon, but thought it was unlikely. But now that it's confirmed he's a dual high-tier attribute pioneer, then..." Hearing this, the chief's tone shifted as he asked seriously, "Does he have a spiritual weapon?" Then he began to reason aloud. "That's unlikely. No matter how gifted he is, there's no way he could possess a spiritual weapon without outside help or resources. Besides, the reconnaissance team found no traces of a third spiritual energy attribute typically associated with a spiritual weapon." Su Qingying clarified, "When I came into contact with him, the spiritual weapon aura I sensed was Yang attribute." The chief paused, then said, "I see. If the weapon's attribute comes directly from his own Yang energy, then if he's a spirit creation realm cultivator, it's theoretically possible to do it solo." Hearing this, Su Qingying was shocked and thought, "Spirit creation realm? Even globally, cultivators at that level are extremely rare, barely more than 2 exist." Then the chief continued, "But if this person does possess a third attribute, that would shift the balance entirely. It'd shake the entire pioneer community. Because according to research, different attributes clash within the human body. It's nearly impossible for them to coexist. So far, no pioneer has ever been confirmed to possess 3 different spiritual attributes." He added one last thought. "If he really has a spiritual weapon, then the fact we didn't detect a third attribute might actually be a good thing. Let's hope such a powerful pioneer never becomes humanity's enemy. The story now shifts to our MC, who is in the middle of taking a shower. As he finishes and steps out, he begins thinking to himself, there's less than a year until the official spiritual energy revival. Yet anomalies and phenomena are already erupting everywhere. Anomalies are becoming highly active. He dries his hair using his fire attribute, and his mind drifts back to recent developments. Many pioneers, like myself, have started cultivating on their own. Once the interface between body and spiritual world is opened, we become more sensitive to changes in heaven and earth, like those people I encountered at the underground river. Even without Xia country's official recognition, self-trained pioneers have generally reached the level of one-star ghost penetration realm. Now that Xia country is reaching out to wild pioneers like me, it shows that both official and wild pioneers are in a relatively peaceful phase of mutual exploration. Anomalies are still within controllable limits, and there's no serious conflict among pioneers yet. He picks up his clothes and starts getting dressed, still deep in thought. However, even though the government established the Spiritual Energy Cultivation Association, it still hasn't gone public. People everywhere are talking more frequently about local instability and unexplained phenomena. It's clear the government is trying both to protect humanity and issue early warnings. Then, he thinks back to burning buildings from his past life. Normal city buildings turned to ash and chaos. Remembering them, he says, but the problem lies exactly here. I can feel it. The government has no confidence in launching full-scale cultivation. With such a large population, once information is made public, order will collapse. Internal unrest will spread chaos and death. As it stands now, even recognized pioneers can't yet stabilize societal upheaval. Internal and external threats will only accelerate the collapse. So, this gentle approach from the government isn't wrong. After all, human hearts are more frightening than ghosts or gods. But what worries me is that the development of anomalies is exceeding my expectations. Just as this thought crosses his mind, a notification pops up from his system, a reading related to the dark attribute, specifically one of its sub-attributes. The MC narrows his eyes and reflects. What I encountered today was a typical mutated product of dark attribute contamination. From touching the black mist, I could tell it belongs to a sub-branch of the dark attribute, known as the shadow attribute, a natural enemy to pioneers. However, these anomalies are far more intelligent than typical exotic beasts. They not only feast on humans, pioneer bodies are a great nutritional source for them. They may even cooperate to trap and kill pioneers. Though they're still not on the same level as the true dark-type anomalies I saw before, the kind that could destroy a country, even a continent. With just one of them still, if I hadn't tracked them today, that squad and the one trying to recruit me might not have made it. Even just a sub-attribute was so sinister and disgusting. Full dark attribute threats are simply too dangerous. Then, he looks at the system's status note, temporarily unabsorbable. That sparks another line of thought. But if it's labeled temporarily unabsorbable, does that mean I'll be able to absorb it once system conditions are met? It might even be the key to turning the tide. He then does a mental inventory of his powers and techniques. Now I possess the Golden Sun breathing technique of the Yang attribute, the Divine Thunder tempering of the Thunder attribute, and the Crimson Flame blade technique, a sub-attribute of Yang called Inner Flame. Not just high-tier attributes, I also have corresponding techniques that perfectly suit me. Plus, my current strength as a 3-star Ghost Axe realm. There should be very few pioneers who can rival me. He takes a breath, but then his thoughts end on a firm, ominous note, but it's still not enough. Just then, the MC's phone starts ringing. He glances at the screen and mutters to himself, it's Auntie's call. Why did she suddenly call? As soon as he picks up the phone, his aunt greets him warmly. Hello, how have you been? Listen, your cousin is coming to study near your place. I don't feel comfortable with her staying alone in a hotel. Can she stay at your place for a few days? Hearing that his cousin is coming, the MC thinks to himself, Cousin's coming. The only thing I remember about her is she was a student obsessed with studying. I don't even remember what she looks like. He responds on the call, just have her come over. There's a spare room at home. Then he asks, when is she coming? To this, his aunt replies, no need to pick her up, I'll give her the address and let her come over by herself. Then adds with a smile, she'll bring you some special cookies and snacks when she arrives. She should be there by tomorrow afternoon. Sorry for the sudden trouble. The MC, unfazed, says with a soft chuckle, Auntie, what trouble? Don't worry at all. Then adds, I've got some things to do, so I'll hang up now, and he ends the call. Meanwhile, at the aunt's house, we see a girl sitting at her computer, intensely browsing articles about spiritual energy martial arts. She's reading pieces discussing Death Town, park-based beast challenges, and various anomaly events. Just then, her mom, the MC's aunt, enters the room and asks, did you finish packing? The girl responds, clearly not thrilled, yeah, everything's packed, but I really don't want to stay with cousin brother. The hotel was fine for me. Her mom replies in a firm tone, it's much safer staying with your cousin than being alone out there. I trust him more than any hotel staff. Be sure not to cause trouble when staying there. Help out around the house when you can, all right? Before she can say more, the girl shoves her mom playfully out of the room and says, don't worry, I get it. As she shuts the door, she thinks to herself, one hurdle at a time. No matter what cousin is like, he won't be harder to handle than an anomaly. The next day, we see the girl walking with her phone in hand, following a map. A digital voice from the map says, you've arrived at your destination. She looks up at a large hotel-style building in front of her and mutters, this should be the place. A girl named Lin Yi directly comes in front of our hero's house, and as our hero is stepping out of his room, she sees him and says hello. Seeing this girl standing in front of him, our hero says, so your name is Lin Yi, and in his mind, he thinks, I totally couldn't recognize her. Then our hero takes her inside the house and starts asking her questions. So, you have come here for the summer camp? To this, Lin Yi replies with a yes. Then he tells her, if you need anything, just call me, to which the girl says, thank you, cousin. Our hero then gives her an extra key and says, keep this with you. I'm going to my room now. Your room is that one down the hall. The girl takes the extra key and, for the trouble, apologizes to him. Sorry for the trouble these few days. As our hero is leaving from there, the girl thinks in her mind, it seems it's easy to get along with my cousin. He won't interfere in my work. And as our hero is walking away from the room, he glances sideways at his cousin's sister and thinks, is it my perception acting up, or is she not hiding her presence well? When she was sitting on the couch earlier, I did faintly sense an unfamiliar trace of spiritual energy. Could it be, she's already become a pioneer too? Then her excuse about coming here for summer camp, was it actually because? And thinking this, he walks out of the room. When our hero leaves the room, Lin Yi picks up her phone and starts chatting in her group chat. The first message she types is, cousin seems nice. Doesn't look like he'll interfere with my activities. When do we move? Seeing this message, the group members become active. One of them, using the ID 18-year-old sultry woman, replies, don't rush. Keep a low profile. Things are chaotic here. There are a lot of pollution zones, and some are already claimed by other pioneers. Then another message pops up from the user scammed in online romance for 50 cents, who writes, I heard too. Last time at the underground river, 2 teams clashed, and a super powerful guy cut out a sun with 1 slash and forced the others to back off. After that, 18-year-old sultry woman sends another message, 1 slash cut out the sun. Seriously? That must be an extreme yang attribute, definitely a high-tier pioneer. Scammed in online romance for 50 cents responds, it's real. I heard the same. To this, Lin Yi writes, that's why we must be careful. The spiritual energy revival hasn't officially begun. Everything is hidden. Who knows how many monster-level pioneers Zia country is hiding? We mustn't draw attention. Both group members reply again, and then, closing the chat, Lin Yi types, "All right, I'll wait for your signal." After finishing the conversation, she thinks to herself, "Forget it. I've just arrived here. It's better if I don't cultivate for now. If my cousin catches me, it'll be very hard to explain." 3 days passed just like that, and our hero was already feeling a little troubled by his cousin's presence. He thought to himself, but who would have thought living with my cousin would actually cause a lot of trouble for my cultivation? During this time, he was also doing light training, but his meditation and breath regulation were constantly interrupted. Even cultivating the golden sun breathing technique might be seen. Whenever he used the technique, the light it emitted was so bright that he feared it would be noticed. Still, these were just small inconveniences. The most terrifying part was that his cousin had started cooking for him. "Cousin, dinner's ready. Tonight's tomato beef stew, cold cucumber salad, and corn rib soup," Lin Yi called out cheerfully. Our hero sat down at the dining table and replied, "All right. You've been really considerate today. Let me handle the dishes." But Lin Yi shook her head and said, "No need to worry. I'm staying here, so at least I can do this much." As he ate, our hero thought to himself, "Too polite. Faultless etiquette. Does housework like someone with OCD." Still, not stopping her is also part of making her drop her guard. Only then can I get to the bottom of her identity. Just then, Lin Yi's phone began ringing. Seeing the caller, our hero asked seriously, "What's the matter? A friend's call made you leave your dinner?" He then stood up from the table and said, "I'll leave you two alone. I'm going back to my room." Lin Yi raised her hand slightly, as if to stop him, but before she could speak, he had already left without looking back. Once our hero left, Lin Yi picked up the phone. A voice on the other end said, "What did you say? Another major world shift will happen tomorrow." Hearing this, Lin Yi asked about the time. The caller gave it, and she replied, "All right. I'll definitely be there by 3 o'clock. Okay then, let's meet at the entrance of MANHUA town." At that moment, our hero was hiding outside the window, listening to everything. Upon hearing MANHUA town, he thought to himself, "MANHUA town? Isn't that the trendy town in the suburbs? Just an hour's drive." Then, Lin Yi began cultivating. Feeling her spiritual power, our hero smiled. "Just as I suspected, my cousin is also a pioneer. Luckily, with her current strength, she probably can't detect me. But she's already at 2-star Ghost Axe realm as a high schooler and might soon advance further. Is her talent so extreme that it's made her personality a bit odd? So this summer camp was a cover. The world shift is her real reason for coming. She must have learned about the shift and used it as an excuse to come here. Every world shift is both an opportunity and a way for me to gain new techniques to enhance my power. I wonder what attribute will appear in MANHUA town this time." With that thought, he immediately set off toward MANHUA town at full speed. Who cares what's there, whatever it is, it's all going to be mine. He left so quickly that Lin Yi, sitting inside, slowly opened her eyes. A faint unease flashed across her face as she thought, "That was strange. Was it just my imagination, or was someone watching me?" The scene shifts directly to MANHUA town, where we see Lin Yi. Standing beside her is a girl from the chat group with the username scammed in online romance for 50 cents. She walks up to Lin Yi and teasingly asks, "You've been staying at your cousin's place these past few days, right? So, is he hot or not?" Thinking of our hero, Lin Yi answers honestly, "He's a good guy. As for looks, he's an ordinary, average person. He's definitely not the kind of impressive man you'd go for. He's more of a pretty boy." Hearing this, scammed in online romance for 50 cents looks slightly disappointed. "Well, that's a letdown," she mutters. Just then, 18-year-old sultry woman walks over and says to her, "Don't forget, Lin Yi once described herself as just an ordinary person, and there are more group members here too." Among them is a boy sitting a bit farther away, who calls out, "All right, since everyone's here, let's get to the main issue." Lin Yi interrupts to ask, "By the way, she's not coming again?" The boy shakes his head. "We're still only 6 people. She's not coming." The group starts moving forward, and 18-year-old sultry woman remarks, "She's always been this mysterious. We're used to it. Let's not waste any more time." The team heads toward their destination, completely unaware that our hero is sitting some distance away, quietly observing them. Watching their spiritual power, he thinks to himself, "Seems like my cousin's team is pretty low-key." The weakest among them is at 2-star Ghost Axe Realm, and that guy who spoke earlier is even at 3-star. From what they said, there's also a powerful member who rarely shows up, and on the mountain above this influencer town. He then turns his gaze toward an area where an anomaly is occurring, a massive vine descending from the sky. Just like the beanstalk from the fairy tale, Jack and the Beanstalk. The vine appears randomly around MANHUA town at unpredictable times. This contradicts previously known information. It's beyond our understanding. It's clearly a world shift, but it's not related to weather or land structure collapse. It's an anomaly that appeared out of nowhere, drifting around, causing no damage. It doesn't release thunder or blazing light. It just floats silently, phasing in and out. Meanwhile, Lin Yi's team has reached the area. Seeing the strange sight, everyone looks a bit unsettled. "My God, that's it? If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed it," 18-year-old sultry woman says, fear in her voice. From behind, Scammed in Online Romance for 50 cents speaks nervously. "Wait, maybe we shouldn't go any further." Lin Yi turns to her. "Why do you say that?" The girl swallows hard and answers, "Only after seeing it for real did I feel something was off. My whole body's gone cold. Did you guys see the rumors on the internal forums? I know someone from that team. When the vine appeared last time, they tried to make contact with it. They were much stronger pioneers than me, not low level by any means. But after coming here, they all went missing." Feeling the corrupted energy in the air, her face turns pale. She clutches her head in fear. "I can feel it. If we go closer, we'll end up just like them. Not even bones left to bury." Scammed in Online Romance for 50 cents could feel the corrupt energy from the vine surrounding her, and she began speaking frantically. "I originally thought I could handle the pioneer's gamble, return with fortune or die trying. But the moment I saw that thing, I felt instinctive fear. My intuition tells me this is a very high-level world anomaly, a new, unknown, and powerful mutation. I'm not ready to bury everything here. I want to withdraw." Seeing her in such a state, her teammates grew a bit more serious. Lin Yi then spoke up. "Yes, you're right. We can feel it too. Within this wood-type vine, there's a sense of desolation. I can't describe it, like it's been submerged in the river of time, where all life has perished and vitality is gone. That's why we feel so deeply uneasy and unwell. It's like it's trying to devour our life force." After saying this, Lin Yi held her hand and added, "But this is the path of martial pioneers." Meanwhile, far away, hidden from their sight on the mountains, our hero could also feel the suffocating, deathly aura. Out of all the world anomalies I've seen, aside from the dark attribute anomaly, this vine gives the most unpleasant feeling. And they actually decided to cultivate here. That takes serious courage. Clearly, it's a plant, normally a symbol of vitality, yet it feels lifeless. It doesn't feel alive, it's more like a dead thing disguised as living, devoid of spiritual energy. Back below, Lin Yi addressed her team to keep their morale up. "Friends, we don't have much time to hesitate. Since it's dangerous, let's just sense energy around this area. Stay within visual range, don't wander too far." Following her lead, everyone picked their spots and began cultivating, thinking it should be relatively safe this way. Lin Yi herself sat atop a tree branch and began her own cultivation. From a distance, our hero watched his cousin and commented to himself, "Not bad." They're cautious, cultivating at a safe but efficient distance. As expected of a top student, she calculated the optimal benefit range, neither reckless nor timid. Before long, Lin Yi's energy began to surge, sending a powerful wave upward into the sky. Our hero noticed immediately. She's about to break through. She's already close to 3-star. My cousin really is a genius. Down below, her teammates were also excited. This is 3-star Ghost Realm, one of them exclaimed. But just as they were talking, the vine's roots started moving toward them. The boy they had been following shouted urgently, "This is bad. The vine is coming straight at us. It sensed us from this far away." 18-year-old sultry woman gasped in fear. In moments, the vine lashed out, grabbing some of the team members and absorbing their energy. Everyone panicked and started running. Scammed in online romance for 50 cents screamed, "Run, run as fast as you can. If we don't, we're dead." Yuyi's breakthrough caused too much of a disturbance. We must not get entangled by the vine. Once it wraps around us, the desolate aura will consume us instantly, we'll melt on the spot. The vine had already reached Lin Yiyi, striking her protective shield. Cracks began to spread across the energy barrier. While everyone else was running, 18-year-old sultry woman grabbed scammed in online romance for 50 cents hand. "No, we can't run if we do. Yiyi will be in danger." Scammed in online romance for 50 cents snapped back. "Then what do you want me to do? Use my spiritual energy to protect her? She chose to cultivate here, so now she gets to level up while I die for her." 18-year-old sultry woman ignored her anger and turned to the group. "Everyone, calm down." The boy who seemed to be leading them spoke coldly. "Life and death are fated. Wealth is heaven's will. If we don't leave now, we'll all die with her. You're too young, don't act on emotion. We're all just acquaintances here." Before he could finish, 18-year-old sultry woman slapped him hard across the face. "Then to hell with you all. I won't abandon my comrade." With that, she charged toward Lin Yiyi, while the rest of the group fled in the opposite direction. Up in the mountains, our hero was watching the entire scene unfold. His eyes filled with urgency, and he said with deep concern, "My cousin probably doesn't even realize the danger she's in right now. Still just a student. This vine's power is overwhelming. I don't even know if I can save her with my current strength. But there's not much time left." Our hero drew out his sword, determination blazing in his eyes, and readied himself for the fight. His thoughts were firm. "I promised Aunt that I would take care of my cousin. The promise I made must not be broken." Meanwhile, the sultry woman was rushing forward to save Lin Yiyi. She was destroying the vine as she advanced toward Lin Yiyi, but within moments, the vine coiled around her too. At the same time, the vine had completely shattered Lin Yi's shield, and just as it was about to catch her. At that very moment, our hero leapt in with his heavy sword infused with blazing yang energy and struck directly at the vine. The vine began to burn from the force of his yang energy, retreating rapidly and halting its attack. The two team members who had been running away stopped in their tracks, stunned, as they saw the vine retreating and no longer attacking. The hero's yang energy was so incredibly powerful that the entire area began to glow with his radiance. Seeing his energy, the members of the team were astonished. The boy who had been fleeing earlier exclaimed in disbelief, "Is this another pioneer?" The sultry woman shielded her eyes from the blinding light of the hero's energy and thought with awe, "That's the purest yang attribute. Makes sense only such a high-tier attribute could force back this desolate vine." The same boy, still staring in shock, began thinking to himself, "Why? I consider myself extremely talented. I reached the 3-star Ghost Axe realm in a very short time. There are probably only a handful in the entire country with such speed. Lin Yi's talent barely matches mine, not even that far ahead. But still, if there are pioneers like that out there, then what are we? Are we just stars dimly shining beneath the radiant moon? He crushed me, no, he crushed all of us. Just what kind of existence is he?" Meanwhile, our hero was still standing in that very spot when a system notification suddenly appeared before him. Detected extreme wood attribute, initiating auto-writing. Moments later, another message appeared, complete. After that, wood energy began flowing through our hero's body, filling him with life force. He felt the energy invigorating him, and a joyful smile spread across his face as he exclaimed in pure admiration, "What an incredible wood attribute technique! As long as there's life nearby, this is basically a perpetual energy-absorbing engine." Our hero's cousin sister, along with her teammates, went to a region filled with the wood attribute to cultivate. There, a massive vein stretched from the ground all the way up into the sky. While they were cultivating, that vein suddenly launched an attack on them. In that moment, our hero's cousin, who was deeply immersed in cultivation and had lost awareness of her surroundings, was left behind, while all the others fled in panic. Just then, our hero arrived. Without hesitation, he attacked the vein and destroyed it completely. Instantly, he began to absorb the corrupt energy of the wood attribute from that area. As he did this, the system started sending him continuous messages, showing that the attribute was being extracted. Very soon, the wood attribute had been added to him. But that wasn't all. The notifications continued to flash before his eyes. Currently extracting attribute, desolation attribute, can instantly unleash desolate aura, corroding all surrounding life force. As soon as our hero fully absorbed this attribute, he gained the terrifying ability to destroy all surrounding life force. Around him, a powerful green aura tied to the wood element erupted, pulsing with immense vitality and menace. Feeling this, our hero thought to himself, "No wonder this vine could only grow in such a treacherous terrain. If it had grown elsewhere, it might have drained the life from dozens of miles around. Stripping away and fatal, this desolation attribute is just too tyrannical, forcefully seizing others' life force." While he was still lost in these thoughts, 18-year-old sultry woman hurried over and spoke emotionally, her voice filled with gratitude. "Thank you so much for saving us, big brother. Thanks. If it weren't for you just now, we would have surely died. How can we ever repay you?" Hearing her words, our hero simply waved his hand with a calm expression and replied, "No need. For now, I'll take my leave." With that, he turned to go. As he walked away, he thought to himself, "I basically piggybacked on their intel to come here and obtain endless vitality and the desolation attribute. Come to think of it, I was the one who profited the most. As for the earlier conflict between those people, it's better to pay more attention to my cousin's movements from now on." Everyone silently watched as our hero departed. None of them spoke much. The tension on their faces showed the fear and awe they felt, having just witnessed such a powerful figure in action. Our hero leapt away, his mind clear. When faced with danger, people tend to reveal their true nature. A scattered, disorganized team is not safe during an upcoming major shift. After his departure, Scammed in Online Romance for 50 cents Speaks nervously turned to the team captain and asked nervously, "He left so quickly, so what should we do now?" The captain sighed, his expression complicated, and said, "What's the matter? Are you regretting not helping him earlier? Now that the threat is gone, Lin Yi has advanced to the 3rd level. Our best option now is to stay in this team as long as we can." As he spoke, his eyes drifted toward Lin Yi, who was still immersed in her cultivation, completely unaware of everything that had just happened. A faint shield of aura surrounded her body. Though slightly cracked, it had not completely broken. Finally, her breakthrough reached completion. As Lin Yi opened her eyes, the energy around her surged. Seeing her awaken, 18-year-old sultry woman rushed over joyfully and exclaimed in excitement, "Lin Yi, you finally woke up." The captain glanced at Lin Yi, then turned to Scammed in Online Romance for 50 cents Speaks nervously and spoke in a low, calculating voice. "Now it all depends. If she's rational enough, she won't force a falling out with us. Instead of worrying about that, we should focus on that mysterious man." Lin Yi blinked in confusion as she looked around at the scene before her. Shocked, she asked. What happened here? Her gaze fell upon two of her teammates lying lifeless on the ground. Stunned, she demanded, what about them? What happened to them? And how did so many veins suddenly appear here? Even as she asked, an overwhelming wave of powerful yang energy surged from behind her. Even from this distance, she could feel its scorching intensity. At that moment, the team captain stepped forward with a serious face and said, "Let me be the one to explain what happened." And then, he began to recount everything that had unfolded. After this incident, Lin Yi returned home. On the way, her mind kept circling around the words of the team's captain. He had told her about a powerful cultivator who had appeared and saved their lives. Throughout the entire journey, Lin Yi wondered, could someone truly exist with such overwhelming strength? The captain had even said that the man was practically a monster. And when he had been explaining, that very same vein which had attacked them earlier was now retreating in fear. At that time, the captain had said with awe, "The vine is now curled far away in the sky, completely avoiding us." Still thinking about all of this, Lin Yi entered her building. That's the deterrent left behind by that man. Even though he's already gone, the vine is still meek like a chicken, no trace of its earlier rage. As soon as she opened the door and stepped inside, our hero greeted her with a smile. "You're back," he said warmly. But noticing the faint sadness and paleness on her face, he asked with concern, "You look a little pale, are you okay?" Lin Yi quickly made up an excuse, replying softly, "I'm just a bit tired from studying." Hearing that, our hero encouraged her gently, "You're really putting in the effort, go rest. Should we order some takeout tonight?" Lin Yi nodded in agreement and headed toward her room. Once inside, she closed the door, finally letting out a breath of relief. She thought to herself, breakthroughs are mentally exhausting. Every time I channel spiritual energy to wield the divine axe, it takes total concentration. It's even more exhausting than pulling all-nighters for a month. Lying on her bed, she picked up her phone and checked it. Good thing I'm no longer a regular person. Pulling a few all-nighters won't kill me. Pushing yourself this hard. But such is the fate of pioneers. The world has already begun to change. A normal life like my cousin's is no longer possible for me. Meanwhile, on the other side, our hero had already left the building. Back inside the room, Lin Yi continued scrolling through her phone until a particular chat shocked her. A message from someone named Jia Lan appeared. "If any trace of that powerhouse appears again, notify me immediately." Lin Yi froze for a moment, surprised. This was the first time she had ever seen Jia Lan speak in this group. She quickly typed out a reply. "Got it, Jia Lan. By the way, I have a question." She hesitated briefly, then continued typing. "Do you think the person who saved us could be the same one who became famous at the Dark River Molten Dragon site? If it really was that senior, why would he save us?" After sending the message, she returned to browsing other cultivation news, where shocking headlines flashed before her eyes. Breaking news: the high-tier Yang attribute god returns again. That slash, piercing the sun itself. Heaven's light was devoured by that sea of white light. I saw it back in the pollution zone Dark River Molten Dragon. That burst of blazing white light forced us out of the cave. I swear, no pioneer in Xia country of the same tier could withstand that blow. Reading these news articles, Lin Yi was left completely stunned. Meanwhile, on the other side, our hero stepped out of the building, picked up his bicycle, sat on it, and started riding. As he pedaled forward, his thoughts churned. All right, now Lin Yi will likely lower her guard around me even more. I won't be suspected of observing her when she goes out. Now's the time to figure out how to carry the desolation attribute. His mind focused sharply as he considered. The desolation attribute leans closer to plant-type entities. But after all, it's a sinister attribute. Its nature is corrosive. Putting it directly in my body might have negative effects. Besides, it may conflict with the thunder attribute in my hand. He thought back to the vine. So the best approach is to use something like that strange ghost vine. The reason the vine dropped from the sky was because it sensed the dense spiritual energy revival. It chose to evolve on its own, and that's what gave birth to the desolation attribute. Thinking this through, a smile spread across his face. I know exactly where I need to go. With that, he pedaled faster, speeding through the streets until he arrived at the city's forest park. Entering with a laugh, he whispered to himself, I need to choose a plant that resonates most with my spiritual energy and express intimacy to be this lucky one. At once, he released his wood attribute aura. A glowing green light burst forth from within him, radiating outwards. The aura attracted the small flowers, plants, and trees in the park, pulling them toward him as if drawn by a powerful magnet. The plants began reacting strangely, swaying and leaning toward him, eager for more of his energy. Seeing this, our hero thought, is this the response of plants to spiritual energy? It's intense, but still not enough. Determined, he decided to push further. He poured out even more power. Just then, his eyes caught sight of a small flower in the grass, glowing brighter than the rest after receiving his energy. Intrigued, he walked closer. Could it be? Is this the one I'm searching for? Reaching out, he gently touched the flower with his finger. To his surprise, the little flower curled around his fingertip as if holding on. Shocked, he thought, it has spiritual potential. This wildflower is clearly just a plant, but the way it reacts to spiritual energy, it's like a greedy puppy. After absorbing the energy, it even came over to nuzzle my fingers. Caressing the flower softly, he whispered with satisfaction, in this entire forest, you're the one with the strongest response to my spiritual energy, perfect candidate for embedding the desolation attribute. He then asked the flower with a smile, I'm ready, are you ready? The flower swayed up and down, as if giving him a signal of agreement. Our hero closed his eyes, channeling his energy into the flower. Immediately, a crisp notification rang out from the system. Embed desolation attribute into this object. Without hesitation, our hero answered, yes. Our hero started infusing his wood attribute power into that tiny flower. The moment his power entered it, the little flower lit up brilliantly. A surge of powerful energy burst out from the small flower, and as the glow gradually faded, what had once been a fragile little flower had now evolved. Around it sprouted numerous leaves, its size had grown, and it now appeared far more powerful, releasing attribute power all around. But during this evolution, the small flower had turned the entire garden into a wasteland. It had absorbed all the surrounding energy. The once lush green trees nearby had now begun to wither away. Sensing this terrifying power, our hero exclaimed in shock. Such a strong power of desolation, just like the hand of a demon, in only 3 seconds, it has almost drained an entire ring of the city's forest. This is too overbearing, and it's still spreading madly. After this, he moved forward, intending to uproot the flower, but then hesitated, muttering, forget it. If I continue any further, it might attract the people from the Spirit Energy Association. After all, this place is located in the very center of the city. There's no way they won't be monitoring this area. Since the revival of spiritual energy, these plants have all become unstable. When I entered the garden earlier, I did notice far more surveillance cameras than before, and the place was strangely deserted, with no visitors at all. Our hero then decisively uprooted the flower, but even after being pulled from the soil, its roots were still absorbing the energy of the surrounding trees. Seeing this, our hero's eyes widened as he muttered, huh? It still hasn't stopped absorbing? Can it survive even without root connections? He then gently caressed its leaves, smiling faintly as he continued. But compared to just now, when it was recklessly devouring everything, this absorption feels much gentler now, incredible. Even after being removed from the soil, its spirituality hasn't weakened at all. Before I chose it, it was nothing more than an ordinary wildflower. Could it be that after being infused with an attribute, this plant has also begun to evolve, as if some kind of evolutionary shackle has been unlocked? Just then, a blinding light flared up in the area. accompanied by a loud alarm, "Abnormal value exceeded. Warning, abnormal value exceeded." Hearing that, our hero's expression changed instantly. He clenched his teeth and muttered, "Damn, did I still trigger the surveillance? I need to get out of here as quickly as possible." Without wasting another second, he bolted from the area at full speed. The abnormal activity caused by our hero had already been reported to the Reiki Plant Research Department. Their entire research room had gone into a red alert, and all the members gathered together at once. Someone rushed in, shouting in panic, "The abnormal values are skyrocketing. What on earth happened?" The room fell silent for a moment, and then one of the members stood up and commanded firmly, "Everyone, put on your wristbands and immediately head into the park. Seal it off, no outsiders are allowed to enter." Without wasting any time, the entire research team set off toward the park. Each one of them wore protective suits to shield themselves from the abnormal energy. The moment they arrived, one of the members tested the energy readings and his face turned pale as he exclaimed, "This is terrifying. Earlier, at Qingchang University's North Gate, the values only fluctuated between 8-10. The Dark River Molten Dragon was at 25, but here..." Another quickly added, his voice tense, "Exactly. Once the spiritual energy concentration surpasses 10, the military usually takes over. But this park's concentration never even came close to 10 before." Each member held a special measuring device. One of them inserted a probe into the ground, checking the data, and reported with confusion, "Strange, look at this. The air humidity, ground moisture, and temperature are all perfectly normal. Sunlight radiation levels are fine too. But these plants, it's as if their life force has been completely drained within just a few seconds." The team members exchanged uneasy glances, shock flickering across their faces. One of them asked in disbelief, "What kind of attribute power could cause something like this? I feel like we need to move a little further ahead. That must be the center of it all." Just then, another man rushed over, his face pale with fear, and shouted loudly, "Don't go any closer. Don't touch it. This is the desolation attribute." His words sent ripples of fear across the entire team. One of the members stammered in shock, "Desolation attribute? What is that supposed to mean?" The old man among them stepped forward and asked solemnly, "You all have heard of the vines that hang down from the sky, haven't you?" The moment he said that, everyone froze in place. Their expressions stiffened, and fear spread through their eyes. One of them muttered, "You don't mean that demonic vine, the one that has already been classified as an A-level mutation?" The old man nodded gravely and continued, "Yes, because of its extreme danger, it was classified as a level. The reason it's so deadly, the reason countless explorers perished with nothing left but bones ultimately lies in this desolation attribute. It drains the life force of every living thing around it and claims everything as its own. That is the terrifying power it holds." As his words sank in, the entire group shuddered, fear spreading like wildfire through them. One younger member turned pale, his voice trembling as he asked, "Teacher, just now, if you hadn't stopped me, does that mean if I had taken one more step forward, I would already be dead?" The old man's expression hardened as he explained, "Yes. Once a plant awakens the desolation attribute, the area around it becomes a death domain. Anyone who sets foot inside will have their life force completely consumed. I've seen the records of another desolation plant before located in Kang City's forbidden ancient tree zone. The decayed ancient tree corrupted the entire forest into a forbidden land. Any living creature that approaches is instantly pierced through and drained." Saying this, the old man fell into a tense silence, muttering to himself with a heavy expression, "In these times of great upheaval, mutations cannot be underestimated. As far as plants are concerned, the desolation attribute is currently recognized as the most powerful attribute they can awaken, other than the ancient tree and those sky vines. Now, yet another newly born desolation plant has appeared." At that very moment, someone else stepped forward from behind. Placing a hand on the old man's shoulder, and said in a low, serious voice, "I've heard about this situation before." Hearing that voice from behind, the old man turned around in surprise, and there stood a military general. His eyes widened as he exclaimed, "Major Han?" Major Han stepped forward, his expression cold and authoritative, and ordered, "All researchers present, change into protective suits and follow us into the contaminated zone." As he spoke, some soldiers brought in masks and protective clothing. The military personnel quickly suited up and began searching the entire area. One soldier scanned in one direction and reported, "No trace of the desolation source detected here." Another, checking a different direction, muttered anxiously, "Weren't we told only that Vine could move freely everywhere? Could it be?" The team continued searching every corner of the zone. Suddenly, someone called out, "The desolation aura is decreasing. We've only been inside the forest for 5 minutes, and the concentration has already dropped to 25. Meanwhile, we saw Major Han together with Su Qingying. Unlike the others, neither of them wore protective suits. Major Han glanced at Su Qingying and said calmly, "Come on, let's explore as well." Su Qingying nodded seriously. The two of them sat down on the ground, placing their palms flat against the soil, and released their spiritual power into it. The moment their spiritual energy spread underground, it flowed straight toward one particular area, the exact spot where the abnormal activity had peaked. But the energy stopped precisely at the location where our hero had uprooted and taken away the plant. Detecting this, both Han and Su Qingying went rigid, their faces filled with shock. Su Qingying's voice trembled as she said tensely, "That area, that's..." Before she could finish, General Han interrupted, his voice heavy and grave. Someone dug out the abnormal source. One of the members overheard and stammered in disbelief, fear spreading across his face. "Someone dug it out. How is that even possible?" Han's eyes narrowed, his tone turning serious. "If someone truly has the ability to dig out the source of desolation from a death zone, then that person's identity is worth investigating." Su Qingying, equally tense, listened carefully and then replied softly, "Captain Han, I know what you're thinking, but there are no traces of that powerhouse's spiritual energy left on the scene. Not even tools." Han immediately checked the device in his hand. His eyes sharpened as the scanner's results appeared. With a deep, steady voice, he said, "Based on big data screening and analysis, we've identified this person's profile. His movements perfectly match the 2 abnormal event locations." The image on the device lit up, showing the face of our hero. The moment Su Qingying's eyes fell on the image, she stiffened, her heart skipping a beat. Han continued in a serious tone, "I'll send all his information to you. This man is very likely the same pioneer you came into contact with before." Su Qingying stood there silently, staring at our hero's picture on the device. After a long moment, she finally spoke in a calm but firm voice, "Good. That's how it should be." 2 hours later, the story shifted. Our hero had already placed that flower into a pot, setting it carefully on his table. Stroking its leaves with a smile, he chuckled and said, "My first time raising a flower, how could I possibly leave you without a flower pot? This is the little home you picked yourself. No more wrapping yourself around my hand. You've now gained the desolation attribute, and you'll continue cultivating on your own. That makes you one of my most reliable helpers." He decided to name the flower Cute Little White Flower. Looking at it fondly, he thought to himself, "The desolation attribute is special. It can definitely help a lot in battle, maybe even produce unexpected effects. And it's perfect that you look so ordinary. If Lin Yi happens to see you, it won't easily raise her suspicion. In combat, an ordinary appearance is the best disguise." His expression turned serious as he muttered, "In real battles, raw strength is only part of the equation. What matters more is who has more hidden cards to play." Just then, his phone began ringing. Glancing at the screen, he read the caller ID and froze in surprise. "Old Wang? Isn't that my childhood buddy who went off to the military? I haven't seen him in 3 years." Memories flashed in his mind. Old Wang, full name Wang Liang, was my neighbor. From elementary school all the way through middle school, we were desk mates. We could have even continued into high school together. But that rascal suddenly decided to enlist in the army. Smiling at the memory, he picked up the call and laughed. "So, you're finally back." On the other end, his friend's cheerful voice rang out as he chuckled. "Let's meet at the old place." Hearing this, our hero raised an eyebrow and asked, so suddenly, "What's the occasion?" Old Wang laughed and said mysteriously, "Yeah, I've got a big secret to tell you. When you hear it, don't faint from shock." With that, the call was cut off. Our hero placed the phone back on the table, unaware of what was really going on. At that very moment, standing in front of Old Wang, we saw Su Qingying and several military officers. After ending the call, Old Wang stood at attention and reporting, "Sir, I've done exactly as you instructed, but I request if he isn't the one we're looking for, can you guarantee his safety?" Then the military officer, who was sitting right beside Su Qingying, spoke up in a serious tone, saying, "Carry out your mission properly and don't get involved in unnecessary matters. If he isn't that person, then just treat it as a friend, giving him some advice." Our hero arrived at the place where his friend had asked him to come, and as soon as he got there, they were doing exactly what they had talked about on the phone. Both of them were drinking. His friend was drinking continuously, and seeing this, our hero thought to himself, looking at Wang Liang like this, life in the army must have been pretty tough. This goofy Wang Liang has actually matured so much. Just then, Wang Liang, after drinking and becoming slightly tipsy, spoke in a simple, heartfelt way to our hero. "These past 3 years, I've felt a lot. Life in the army, sigh." Then he asked, "What about you? Tell me, how are you? What are you doing now?" Hearing this, our hero replied that everything was going well for him too. He had gotten admission into junior college, which wasn't bad at all. He said this with a smile, but at the same time, he started recalling his past life. "Speaking of which, in my previous life, I never had the chance to see Wang Lung again. In the chaos of war, forget about getting any news. Being a soldier, he most likely sacrificed his life at some unknown moment, in some nameless battle. This time, can I perhaps change my old friend's future?" At that moment, Wang Liang suddenly became a little serious and said, "What I want to ask is, recently, have you come across anything strange? Like something out of a movie, zombies, monsters, that sort of thing?" Hearing this, our hero placed his glass of alcohol on the table and began to think, makes sense. For someone in the military, knowing about spiritual energy revival isn't strange. But is he probing me with this question? With that thought, he asked seriously, "What are you trying to say? I don't quite understand." Wang Liang then placed his hand on his forehead and, in a tense tone, said, "It's good if you haven't. Actually, the reason I came today was to tell you a couple of things. I'm not trying to comfort you, but rather to remind you. In the near future, maybe just a few months from now, maybe a year, what we value today, like education and wealth, will become nothing but worthless scraps of paper. Everything will be reshuffled from the beginning." Hearing those words, our hero started thinking seriously. Ordinary soldiers must be ordered to keep secrets, forced to sign agreements that restrict them, not allowing them to reveal even the slightest bit about the revival of spiritual energy. So that means I've already been marked as a target of suspicion by the military, and my traces have been detected. And because Wang Liang is my childhood friend, he's the one they sent to test me. Wang Liang then said, "Don't worry. Everything I told you today, so long as you don't reveal a word of it, there won't be any problem." But our hero was still lost in thought. Even though I pretended to be clueless and uncooperative, Wang Liang still went out of his way, even at the risk of violating military discipline, to kindly warn me, to tell me to be careful of mutations. At that very moment, Wang Liang's phone began to ring. He looked at the caller ID and quickly picked it up. On the other side, a loud and urgent voice shouted, "Wang Liang, get back within 10 minutes, this is urgent. Hurry back to the target location immediately. And then the call was cut. Wang Liang quickly shoved his phone into his pocket, stood up from the table, and while rushing out, he said to our hero, "Brother, the mission is urgent. I can't help it. You go back quickly. I can't send you off." Seeing him in such a rush, our hero asked seriously, "Is this related to the revival of spiritual energy?" As soon as Wang Liang heard this, he turned back, staring tensely and in shock at our hero. But then, our hero stepped forward, placed his hand on Wang Liang's shoulder, and with a smile said, "Take me with you. This meeting today, wasn't it also under your superior's instructions? Don't worry. Even though I don't know exactly what information your higher-ups gave you, I do know one thing: you would never harm me." And as he said this, he thought to himself, "Besides, I really want to know whatever the military is handling. It must be related to the great changes in heaven and earth. But since the Spiritual Energy Association already exists to deal with abnormalities, then what exactly is the military in charge of? This is the perfect chance for me to test the waters." After this, the story shifts to Military Spirit Energy Forbidden Zone 19, where our hero has already arrived together with Wang Liang. As they entered, thoughts continued to swirl in our hero's mind. Here, such dense spirit energy. This level of concentration even surpasses a polluted field, doesn't it? As soon as Wang Liang walked in with our hero, he showed some identification cards. There were already several military personnel present, and the moment they checked Wang Liang's card, they said, "Wang Liang has returned to the team. Verification passed." Then they signaled for Wang Liang to proceed. Wang Liang moved forward, but just as he crossed the area, a sudden explosion shook the ground. The entire zone filled with thick smoke. As the dust slowly cleared, a beast appeared, one that the military troops stationed here were already engaged in battle with. Many soldiers were attacking the beast together, unleashing everything they had. But this beast was no ordinary enemy. Seeing so many humans, it roared and retaliated, launching laser-like attacks from its mouth. Our hero's eyes widened in shock, and in a voice filled with disbelief, he exclaimed, "Is this a fusion attribute?" At that very moment, a woman appeared in the scene, the same officer who had interrogated Wang Liang earlier and sent him to our hero to confirm his identity. She was Officer Jai Lan, a Ghost Axe Realm 3-star. Our hero was standing right next to her. Hearing his words, Jai Lan replied seriously, her voice sharp and commanding, "Correct. An abnormal fusion of darkness and flame attributes. That's what turned this beast into such a ferocious and brutal monster. Several soldiers have already been severely injured." Just then, Wang Liang arrived, pounding his chest hard as if giving a salute, and declared, "I've arrived." Seeing him, Jai Lan's expression twisted with anger. She scolded him harshly, "Without permission, you brought an unrelated civilian into the restricted zone." Wang Liang didn't respond much, only looking slightly tense under her gaze. Jai Lan, realizing the urgency, didn't pursue the matter further. She spoke curtly, "Never mind, this is an emergency situation. You were the only one missing. Hurry up and take your position in the formation." Saying this, she turned her sharp eyes on our hero. "So this is Feng Yi? I don't see anything special about him. The spirit energy around his body is only slightly active. Could it be that he's not the one? But now isn't the time to think about it." Then she addressed him seriously, "Since you are Wang Liang's friend, I won't say more. But this is a forbidden zone. The moment you stepped inside, your life and death became your own responsibility. And whatever you see here must remain a secret." Our hero nodded and agreed calmly, "All right." Then Jai Lan began calling out the names of several soldiers present, ordering them into formation and commanding them to attack. 2 soldiers stepped forward and unleashed spiritual power attacks on the beast. Their energy slammed into the monster, and soon after, Jai Lan herself opened fire with her gun. 3 to 4 bullets struck the beast consecutively, making it howl in rage. The attacks drove it into a frenzy. Its eyes burned with hatred, and it let out an earth-shaking roar. Some soldiers, shaken with fear, shouted, "It's mutating further. It's evolving into an even more dangerous form." The beast suddenly lunged, its claws tearing through the air as it charged toward one of the soldiers. Another comrade cried out in alarm, "Liu, watch out, it's right next to you." But before the beast could strike, 3 to 4 powerful bullets hit it squarely. Jai Lan had fired again. She shouted sharply to her troops, "Don't be careless, keep your distance from it. Eliminate it before it completes its evolution." Our hero stood calmly, watching the battle. A faint smile played on his lips as he thought to himself, a well-trained squad, comrades who trust each other, unmatched discipline and coordination. Every single person here is indispensable. Together, they can unleash a strength far greater than the sum of their individual powers. But suddenly, his face darkened. His voice turned urgent as he shouted, "Everyone, run! You can't fight this thing." Yet it was already too late. From where the mutated beast stood, a wave of terrifying purple energy burst forth, spreading quickly to envelop the surrounding area. Jai Lan's expression instantly grew tense, and she shouted in alarm, "Raise the alert! Increase the Forbidden Zone mutation level. Everyone, no retreat allowed." The beast had now fully mutated. Standing before it was Wang Liang, frozen in place by the overwhelming pressure. From a distance, Jai Lan called out in warning, "Be careful. The Hellhound has fully fused with the darkness attribute and has completed its evolution." Our hero's heart clenched. His friend Wang Liang stood trembling in terror, unable to move. Jai Lan, realizing his danger, cried out his name, urging him to retreat. But Wang Liang remained rooted in place, paralyzed by fear. Our hero's expression hardened, fury welling up within him. With a surge of determination, he activated his lightning attribute, energy crackling violently around him. But the beast was already upon Wang Liang. It swung its massive claws, aiming to strike him down. Wang Liang barely managed to dodge, stumbling back a few steps. Jai Lan's voice rang out across the battlefield. "Attention all units. The Class C mutated Hellhound in Zone 019 has fully evolved. It is now classified as Class B. Update the battle plan immediately." Just then, Wang Liang's body was hurled through the air by the beast's attack, crashing to the ground heavily near our hero. Our hero rushed to his side, worry written all over his face. Wang Liang was in bad shape, coughing blood violently. "Are you okay?" our hero asked urgently. Through painful breaths, Wang Liang forced out his words, "No, it's nothing. I just added spirit energy to reinforce its restraining collar. Don't worry about me. We, the collective soldiers of Forbidden Zone 19. Seeing his friend like this, our hero's eyes blazed with fury. His body trembled with rage. Meanwhile, Jai Lan shouted to her soldiers with steely resolve, "Everyone, no matter what tactics or methods you use, even if it costs us our lives." But before she could finish, our hero darted past her at full speed. His body blurred as he charged straight toward the beast. Jai Lan's eyes widened in shock as she yelled after him, "What do you think you're doing?" But he ignored her, closing the distance to the beast in a flash. Sparks of lightning surged wildly around his hands as he readied himself for a decisive attack. Seeing his friend injured, our hero could no longer hold back his rage. Channeling his lightning attribute agility, he dashed forward like a wild beast. His eyes blazed with fury as he glared at the monster before him. "You're far too arrogant," he growled. "It'll feel good to shatter that pride of yours." The beast roared back, eyes filled with fury, and slashed at him with its claws. But our hero was ready. Lightning bolts danced between his fingers as he dodged and closed in, preparing to unleash his divine thunder. He struck directly at the beast's head with full force, and the creature howled in agony, crashing violently into the ground. The impact shattered the earth, raising a storm of dust and shaking the battlefield so violently that even the others struggled to stay on their feet. A stunned military fighter gasped, "I wasn't wrong, right? This is a B-level mutation that even Officer Jai Lan couldn't handle alone. Not far away, Jai Lan stood beside Wang Liang. Shocked by the overwhelming display of power, Wang Liang muttered, "Officer, don't tell me. My brother is actually—" But before he could finish, Jai Lan, her voice tight with tension, interrupted. "Yes, none of us saw wrong. He truly is the tyrant we've been searching for." On the ground, the beast lay broken, barely able to move. Still, it tried to stand, only to meet the cold gaze of our hero. Still not completely dead. "Then I guess we'll do it this way. Officer, old Wang, both of you fall back." Jai Lan, watching from a distance, felt her heart tighten. For a B-level mutation, we'd normally need a full formation and coordinated sacrifice. And yet, he's done this alone. What kind of power is this? I have to admit, this is the pinnacle of the thunder attribute. Even in today's Xia kingdom, this stands at the very top. If spiritual energy fully revives, how terrifying could he become? Keeping her eyes fixed on him, she watched as our hero raised his hand. The skies above twisted into a whirling vortex, thunder growling within the storm. Lightning tore through the heavens and struck down upon the beast with devastating force. Jai Lan's chest tightened with dread. He truly lives up to the title of tyrant. That name suits him perfectly. The beast was annihilated under the storm of lightning. Our hero turned back toward the military fighters, his expression calm. One soldier muttered, shivering, "Damn, my neck's cold just watching, and my head's buzzing." Another, trembling, added, "Why does this thunder attribute feel 100 times scarier than darkness? I could maybe withstand corrosion, but lightning? No way." As the hero walked forward, Wang Liang rushed over to him, relief flooding his face. Our hero gave him a thumbs up. "Wang Liang, I did it." From a distance, Wang Liang laughed. "You bastard, you scared me half to death." Rushing up close, he slapped the hero in joy. "I never imagined my big brother would be this much of a monster." The hero smirked at his antics. Repaying kindness with betrayal. "Huh, I hit the dog, and you hit me?" Embarrassed, Wang Liang scratched his head. "Sorry, I actually suspected you were a pioneer. Military orders are absolute, and I had to pull you in." Our hero placed a hand on his shoulder. "What, after 3 years you're acting like a stranger? You think I don't know you?" As the two were talking, Jai Lan appeared behind them. Our hero turned back to see her, and she extended her hand toward him. "Fang Yi, thank you for your help," she said. Our hero smiled and shook her hand. "No need. Just think of it as saving a friend." Hearing this, Jai Lan replied, "Forgot to introduce myself. I'm Jai Lan, in charge of guarding restricted Zone 19. You saved Zone 19. I hope we can exchange contact info. I need to make a full report." Our hero nodded, but standing beside him, Wang Liang had a wide smile on his face. Watching a senior officer salute his childhood friend was an incredible sight. Jai Lan continued seriously. "Fang Yi, your strength surpasses many pioneers specially recruited by the army. Therefore, I sincerely want to invite you to join the ranks of Xia Kingdom's military. But an invitation from a mere guard of a restricted zone might not be worthy enough." Inwardly, she thought, what's even more shocking is that his cultivation should only be at the 3rd star of the realm of ghost carving. Yet he's already reached far surpassed the level of a spirit creation realm master. Our hero asked seriously, "Officer Jai, are you saying you don't feel qualified to invite me?" Jai Lan nodded firmly. "Yes, I believe there's nothing wrong or shameful about that. We're following orders from above. We only wanted to understand you, not drag you into this mutation incident. I think they'll come invite you personally." Hearing this, our hero smiled. "It's not that serious. Actually, I really respect all of you. Not everyone has the courage to sacrifice themselves to protect others. I've never seen soldiers fighting with my own eyes before. Just now, how should I put it? It moved me a little." Jai Lan gave him a soft, "Thank you," and our hero laughed. So, if there's ever trouble in the future, feel free to call on me just like how you all protected ordinary people like us during peaceful times. Of course, on one condition, you can't interfere with my cultivation, and you can't restrict me. Jai Lan didn't press further. Our hero then said, "It's about time I take my leave." Jai Lan nodded. "All right, Wang Liang and I still need to deal with the mutant dog's corpse. I'll have someone take you back." As our hero departed, he thought to himself, "Now I finally understand the army's role. They're stationed in spiritually rich but dangerous regions, partly to allow the army to cultivate and maintain superior combat power, and partly to draw a defensive line between anomalies and civilians." Meanwhile, Jai Lan turned to Wang Liang. "Your friend can no longer be described as just not simple. What happened today is just the tip of his iceberg. But even that alone is enough to leave us in the dust. To become such a powerful pioneer so quickly means he has extraordinary perception. Fate, courage, ability, he lacks none of them." Beside her, Wang Liang chuckled and said, "Officer, in that case, can't we increase our offer? If you don't think you're suitable to recruit him, then let me, his childhood friend, do it." Jai Lan pressed her hand down on his head with a smirk. "All right, you brat, come help me clean up the scene." "Yes, sir," Wang Liang replied with a grin. After that, the story shifted directly to our hero's apartment, where he was deep in cultivation. In his mind, he reflected, "Although my identity was exposed this time, I didn't reveal any power other than my thunder attribute. And judging from their attitude, that might not be a bad thing. At the very least, I've learned that this thunder attribute is incredibly rare, perhaps even unique, and it counters the darkness attribute, which the military values greatly. To win me over, they won't threaten or suppress me. Instead, they'll give me influence, the fastest path to power, and access to the most advanced intel. I also now understand the difference between the military and the Spirit Kai Association. The Night Watchers, the Blades in the Shadows, are the nation's shield, while the Spirit Kai Association fills the gaps, sweeping up the remnants within the cities, doing their best to ensure civilians can live stable lives. For now, on one side, the government uses restricted zones to protect civilians. On the other, they signal the revival of spiritual energy, a two-pronged approach. They're also buying precious time for ordinary people, so they don't get instantly destroyed by anomalies, left homeless and devastated. As he cultivated, immense amounts of spiritual energy gathered within him, concentrating in his core. Feeling the overflowing energy within his body, he smiled. As expected of a spiritually rich forbidden zone. Even after absorbing the desolation attribute, I didn't feel like I was about to break through. But just by staying here for a short while, my inner spiritual Kai is overflowing. It's a sign of a breakthrough. At that very moment, we see Lin Yi walking through a bustling street market, carrying some groceries. She was thinking to herself, "Why hasn't my cousin brother returned yet? If he had, I would have definitely made him taste my cooking." But suddenly, her eyes fell on the apartment. From it, a dazzling surge of light was erupting, the unmistakable glow of a breakthrough. Staring at it from a distance, Lin Yi was utterly shocked. That fluctuation, someone ascending in the realm of ghost carving? No, that's not right. This terrifying aura, could it be? A pioneer is about to break through to the spirit creation realm. When our hero was making his breakthrough, a commotion spread around his building because a bright golden energy shot into the sky, slowly taking the shape of a giant axe. Everyone could see this astonishing sight, and Lin Yi was also watching it closely. As she stared, she noticed that the axe was undergoing subtle changes, and she was utterly shocked. It moved. Wait a second, this isn't the ghost axe realm. This powerful force, is this the creation spirit realm? To think such a strong pioneer is right beside me. At the same time, we see the military forces. They had also detected this overwhelming force, and every one of their systems was flashing with urgent warnings. Warning, warning, abnormal value has reached 99. Abnormal value has reached 99. The spiritual energy fluctuation magnetic field is located 5 kilometers southeast of the city. The high-ranking officers were stunned. Senior military leaders, seeing this, turned to their soldiers and ordered, "What's going on there? Everyone, move toward the city immediately." Meanwhile, we see Su Qingying, who was equally shocked, exclaiming, "Such a powerful anomaly! How could it have gone undetected until now? These readings, they're strong enough to destroy an entire city." Because of this terrifying energy, every military base was buzzing with discussion. Some officers, staring at the full city map, spoke in alarm. Has a new creation spirit realm pioneer appeared? Or is this city about to face a devastating disaster? Or perhaps both? In the chaos, a senior officer shouted into his phone, giving immediate orders, "Request reinforcements from headquarters at once. Bring in every advanced resource and weapon, everything except for weapons of mass destruction." And just then, a soldier burst through the door, shouting loudly, "Major Han, the alarm has been lifted. The anomaly has been ruled out. It's a pioneer ascending." After this, the story directly shifts back to our hero, who had successfully achieved his breakthrough. He had stepped into the realm of spirit, creating 1 star. Seeing this breakthrough, even he felt a little exhausted, because this kind of progress, other than my body becoming lighter, it doesn't feel like there's been a huge change. Afterwards, he pulled out his phone and started checking through it. Inside were all sorts of messages, some about past abnormal activities, others about new abnormal activities. Among them were also messages that his sister, Lin Yeye, had typed in the organization's group chat. Reading through them, our hero thought to himself, "Wang Liang was right. This is also the reason I've always been cautious of both the military and the spiritual energy association. Being too high profile doesn't necessarily bring benefits. That's why I've kept my solar flame attribute and scarlet fire sword technique hidden." Then he sent the last message. He said, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it. Besides, I still have a trump card left." This message was sent under the name Fang. He was reading all of it on the organization's website chat. Just then, Lin Yi opened the door to his room and said, "I'm back." She then asked him, "Cousin, have you eaten yet? I brought you some food." Hearing this, our hero replied casually, "All right, just leave it there. I'll eat later." Placing the food down, Lin Yi looked at him with a bit of helplessness and thought sadly, "Sigh, cousin is upright, has no bad habits. His only problem is laziness." Meanwhile, our hero kept staring at his phone, while Lin Yi thought to herself, "All he enjoys is lying around at home. He doesn't even bother going to college, always glued to his phone." Though, whether he attends college in the future or not doesn't really matter. She glanced at him one last time before stepping out of his room. But even as she walked away, her thoughts lingered. But still, we pioneers are busy running around every day, searching for opportunities between heaven and earth, and constantly pretending in front of ordinary people. Yet cousin lives such a carefree life. She returned to her own room, lay down on her bed, and thought to herself. In this same area, a heaven-shaking spirit-creating cultivator has appeared. The pioneers who noticed this anomaly will spread the news very soon. Forget it. When the time comes, I'll protect cousin. I'll just consider it my way of repaying him for letting me stay here. Meanwhile, our hero continued investigating abnormal activities on his phone. Before, it was high temperatures. This time, it's a fire, again, a solar attribute. From the footage, the fire started quickly, and the flames rose violently. The trees and flower beds around the playground were all burned to ash, and now the area has been completely sealed off. The video is too short, cut off abruptly, but it looks much more serious than the situation at the North Gate earlier. I wonder if this time's solar attribute will be any different. I want to check it out in person. But first, I'll need to contact her. After this, the story shifted to the next day at Chengxiang University, where a crowd of media personnel had gathered, and soldiers stood guard at the gates. People were whispering and speculating among themselves. One media worker asked a soldier, I heard the university caught fire, and it can't be extinguished. Is that true? Another immediately followed with, were there any casualties? Why hasn't such a big incident been broadcasted on the news? The people nearby also started discussing heatedly about the students' safety and the issue of flammable materials on campus. Just then, our hero arrived with Jai-lan. As soon as the soldiers at the gate saw them, they quickly opened the gate and let the two in. The crowd, watching them walk inside, exchanged questions in astonishment. Who are they? They look so influential. Why can't we go in? But they can. And when the gate opened, people caught sight of the blazing fire raging inside. Our hero also stared at the flames in shock and muttered, "Burning like this, is this fire from heaven?" Hearing this, Jai-lan nodded and said calmly, "Yes, that's the official name. There were no warnings it suddenly erupted, impossible to put out. It will only stop once it devours everything it wants, isn't it fitting?" Then she added, "Fang Yi, I need to head to the principal's office. Will you wait here or come with me?" Our hero replied, "You go ahead. I'll stay here." Jai-lan gave him a concerned look and warned, "Be careful. We'll meet again later." With that, she walked away. The area was deserted, cordoned off with barricades and warning signs. Our hero stepped forward cautiously, crouching down to inspect the ground, and thought to himself, "The scorched earth is already cold. No traces of heavenly fire's spiritual energy remain. Naturally, it can't be collected. I must have been thinking too simply." Suddenly, a voice called out behind him. He turned and found Chu Kingli standing there. Looking at him in disbelief, Chu Kingli asked, "Is it really you? What are you doing here?" Standing beside her was a girl with glasses, who immediately pointed at him and exclaimed loudly, "Hey, Fang Yi, is this the guy you told me about, the ex-boyfriend who only got into a community college?" She burst into laughter, slapping Chu Kingli's shoulder, and continued mockingly, "Brother, I get it. You must still have some lingering feelings for Kingli. But look at reality, it's right in front of you. Give up already." Our hero frowned and asked coldly, "Lingering feelings? For her?" Right then, more students gathered around, murmuring in curiosity, "Hey, isn't that Chu Kingli? Why is there a guy with her?" Another whispered, "Not sure. Must be another pathetic pursuer chasing after our campus belle. Never seen him before. He's not from our university, right?" Voices buzzed from all directions. Someone else complained, "What's with the campus security? Weren't they supposed to tighten surveillance? How did another outsider just stroll in? Annoying." The girl with glasses suddenly stepped closer to our hero, pointing her finger right at his face as she shouted, "Kingli is our university's campus belle now. I advise you to think carefully. Do you have any idea how many guys, all better than you, are chasing after her? You don't even stand a chance. Leave this place isn't for you. Oh, and one more thing, our campus is under lockdown. How did you even get in here? If you don't explain yourself, I'll report you to the security office." Chu Kingli, standing a bit farther away, listened with a conflicted expression. She thought to herself, didn't he once say he would never regret breaking up? Then why is he here now, saying one thing but doing another? Just as the glasses girl was yelling at him, Jai-lan reappeared. She glanced at the group and asked, "Fang Yi, are these your friends?" Our hero shook his head and answered calmly, "No, just high school classmates, not friends." Jai-lan smiled faintly, replying, "Ah, I see, so just classmates, not friends." Then, narrowing her eyes, she stared coldly at Chu Kingli and the glasses girl. As soon as the two met her gaze, they both froze in fear, their thoughts racing. What an overwhelming presence! Who is this woman? And why does she know Fang Yi? Jai-lan then turned back to our hero and said, "I just had a quick chat with the principal. The matter of the heavenly fire is more serious than we thought. It's not something that can be explained so easily. The principal wants to take us to the very first point where the fire started. Since your current identity here is as a specially invited military consultant, you'll need to go too. Our hero nodded calmly. No problem. At that moment, a large group of people arrived, forming a line. A commanding voice rang out, "Everyone, step back. During the period of fire lockdown, no one is allowed near the playground." The crowd turned around, and there was the university principal himself. Gasps of shock spread among the students. Chu Kingley's eyes widened, her face tense as she thought in disbelief. The principal? Here? He's always so busy, like a dragon rarely seen. They say even the vice principals can barely get a meeting with him. And he never smiles, not once. Could it be? Did he come here for this woman and Fang Yi? Meanwhile, the glasses girl smirked and whispered, "The principal actually showed up. Maybe he's here to arrest these two intruders." But the principal walked straight up to our hero, extended his hand with a respectful smile, and said, "Hello, you must be Advisor Fang, the one Officer Jai recommended, correct? Lately, I've been overwhelmed with the university's unusual situation, worried the fire might endanger students. It's wonderful that you've come to resolve this. The matter of the playground, I'll be counting on you." He even bowed his head as he spoke. The security guards immediately began dispersing the crowd, urging, "Everyone, return to your dorms. There's nothing more to see here. Go on, leave." Chu Kingley stood frozen, utterly shocked by the scene unfolding before her. The students nearby broke into a storm of whispers. Did I see that right? The principal, at his age, actually bowed to this boy? He must have some special identity. No wonder he could walk right into our campus. Look at the treatment he's getting. Amidst the chatter, Chu Kingley remained motionless, overwhelmed by disbelief. Another student exclaimed, "Who was it earlier that said he was just Chu Kingley's ex or another pursuer? Impossible. Even if she chased him herself, there's no way she could catch someone like him." And then, a voice cut through the noise. "Didn't you notice? This boy hasn't even paid the slightest attention to the campus bell the whole time." So friends, that brings us to the end of this chapter. What twists await us next? We'll find out in the upcoming episode. We'll catch you in the next video. Until then, take care and goodbye. What are your predictions for the next chapter? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And most importantly, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.